All right, say it again.
Watch the last one at the bar.
Y'all subscribe to the last ones at the bar boxing channel, man. We got some boxing fans out there.
Hola, soy Yoli de Medellín y estás viendo las 4:11 de Bar, el mejor canal de boxeo. Dale me gusta y suscríbete. Y me puedes encontrar en Instagram como Yoli1026 Sánchez. Bye.
Last ones at the bar. Exclusively folks who love the sport of boxing.
Yes, indeed. Hit that like and subscribe. Welcome to another week of Last Ones at the Bar. Baddest Boxing Podcast out. My name is Wilton Henry, and I'm joined by the aficionado himself, the impresario, Lavelle Jackson. What's going on, Lavelle?
What's going on, my brother Wilton, man? How are you?
Man, everything's great, man. You know, I'm just enjoying a good Cinco de Mayo weekend. Had a lot of festivities going on around here. So I, indulged. I had a friend who had a little get together. I stopped by there, and then I went back to City Kitchen again. This time I didn't get the duck. I ended up getting the steak. So I've been having a pretty good weekend, relaxing. I'm thinking about maybe possibly taking a day or two off in the middle of this week, but I'm not so certain yet. How about yourself? How's your weekend?
My weekend is pretty relaxing, and I had a pretty tense week. So, there was a lot of boxing that was going on this weekend. So I was going to utilize that to get some rest and relaxation down. Got a little bit more than I bargained for, but I'm rested and I'm relaxed.
You talking about as far as you got more than you bargained for as far as the boxing is concerned?
Yeah, man. I ended up getting a little rest.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Before we get off into discussions about the events this weekend, what would you give the overall weekend if you were going to give it a grade? Because that was a lot of boxing. We still got some tonight.
The grade, I would say a D.
A D?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I would give it a D. As a boxing fan, I felt kind of embarrassed, man. Like I have to defend, this sport now, and I have to defend it all the time. And it just seemed like whenever there's a match with a lot of eyes on it, we get, some boring matchups. And it's not, and even in this one with these particular events on paper, I mean, we all talked about it for the last month or 2 months. It seemed golden, like we're gonna get some stuff going on, and it even generated a lot of interest. Being in some of the places there have being in Saudi Arabia and being in the middle of Times Square.
What's going on, Tom?
But when you spending your money, I just told you I had a tense week. So if you spending your money that you go to work with and your time that's precious, I'm a customer. I had to get back into. Am I just being a negative Nancy or old man Vale? But I am a customer. I'm paying for a service. And I think it was marketed as the knockout bundle or something like that. I'm like, what knockouts, did we see? I think it almost was. I felt like it was some type of a conspiracy because when it's these type of matchups that's supposed to be hype like this, that I get to tell people about, saying, even telling casual fans, like, this is the one to watch. We get these type of matchups. I think every single fight on these two cards went 12 rounds, like every single one that was televised, every single one. And this was marketed as the knockout bundle. I'm like, where was the knockouts? I mean, what we talk about the ring card girls or something like that? Because that's what we're talking about. I got a knockout at home. I don't need to see that. I ain't get no knockout. The only one that was knocked out was me. I was knocked out, especially last night. By 11 o'clock, I was knocked out. So every single one of them, should get a TKO victory over me.
I look at it different because I mean I wasn't looking at it technically like this is going to be a knockout card and whatnot. Before I even get to my thoughts, my question for you: if you were telling casual fans that this is like fight to see, what fight on the cards would you have pointed them to that was going to be that fight? Like, which fights were you disappointed in terms of your expectations for a quality fight?
Okay. First off, I didn't even see Canelo Scull because I was asleep by that time. And I'm glad I didn't see it.
What was your expectation of Canelo and Scull going into the fight, though?
I thought Scull is not on the level of Canelo, but knowing that Canelo is at the twilight of his career and he's kind of slowing down, and he's doing things that I don't like. Like he takes his foot off the gas a lot, and then you have a fighter that's probably going to fight in the Cuban style. So it just felt like a matchup that really I thought he would at least show some dominance. Now I didn't see the fight, but really I thought he.
You can't speak on it then. You can't speak on something you didn't see.
No. Hey, I can go by what people already told me.
Nah, you can't do that. You can't.
Well, okay. Let's not go by that. Let's just say, hey, I went to sleep and I don't feel like I missed anything from that fight. I don't feel like I missed anything, honestly. Like I didn't even have a need to even want it. I didn't even have a desire to even go to YouTube and look at the highlights of this fight. And judging by just sentences of that what I've read and heard, two things. Of course, Crawford and Canelo will happen. Three things, because one person, it will happen. Number two, it won't live up to the hype. And number three, Bud will probably win a decision over Canelo.
Listen, you got to see the stuff, though. Like, I don't know if you can make those determinations if you didn't see Canelo actually perform yesterday. But I was just wondering, I can't be disappointed in something that I never really had high expectations for in the first place. For instance, only reason, thinking about the first card, Teofimo Lopez, the only reason we thought that Teofimo may struggle is because his opponent, Barboza, wasn't necessarily that much of a threat. And so it's in his style. So in the way he fights, you would think Teo will have a lapse like he's done in the past against the Sandor Martins, against the Ortizes and people like that. And so that was the only question. Teo performs the way he's going to perform, then he should be able to beat somebody like that because he's just too skilled. But you just didn't know going into the fight what Teo you were going to get. The Devin Haney fight was more so him getting off the rust and being able to go 12 rounds and following the game plan. So I really didn't have expectations in terms of like, oh, Devin's going to style on him. It's not. I just want him to get back in the ring and listen to his corner and not take much punishment. Ryan Garcia fight in Rolly, I never had high expectations because that fight shouldn't have never been the main event in the first place. And Ryan Garcia, a non-PED using Ryan Garcia, you saw what you saw. Like that's who Devin Haney should have been fighting, and that's who Devin Haney was prepping for when he made a lot of mistakes in people's eyes. But if he would have faced that Ryan Garcia, he probably would have knocked that Ryan Garcia out, or he would have shut him out. It wouldn't have been the same thing. So I'm saying that to say that I just figured we got what we got. Now, maybe I thought that it might have been a little bit more explosion in the main event on Friday. But then yesterday, I didn't know what to expect from Bakole after getting knocked out by Parker. And then the Sarase and the fight that he had with Munguia, it's another situation where you got a guy who's coming off of a knockout loss. So what expectations am I going to have for this guy? He's fighting the same guy, and he just wants to make sure that he gets a victory. And he also has to follow a game plan too, so he don't get hit with the same shot. And then I never really cared for the Scull and Canelo fight, even when they were talking about it before, because when I look at the highlights of Scull, his style And the way Canelo fights nowadays, he's not going to go after him or anything like that. He's going to do whatever it is he has to do to win. So my expectations just wasn't that high. I just figured we got what we were supposed to get. Looking at the comments, not to say that you're wrong. I'm just saying that was my expectations as far as this weekend. In this corner, Ty says these fights didn't live up to the hype. They probably didn't. Hopefully, Inoue can close the show. Inoue's not fighting like the best guy in the world, but I think that it probably is going to be a more entertaining fight because the guy he's facing, I think his name is Cardinas, he's going to come to fight. He's not going to be trying to lay down or anything like that. He may get smoked. I actually fell asleep on both cards. I fell asleep, but it was more so the tequila. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a nice tequila.
I'm like, man, when I woke up at 4 a.m., man, I should have turned those.
I do that every weekend.
So get back to sleep.
Yeah, no offense to those. I do that every week. You know what I mean? I wake up and check the fights out later on. I expect the FA and Bakole to end in a KO or stoppage, but they went the distance as well. Yeah, that wasn't a bad fight, though. It's kind of sloppy, but, them dudes was trying to get at it. And then Falco, he says that, Greg Falco, thank you, sir, for chiming in. He says Crawford will beat Canelo. Canelo is obviously past it. That's why I was telling you, Vail, you got to see him and what he looked like yesterday. There's some holes. Like now he doesn't – it's not – he didn't allow him to go 12 rounds because he wanted to. It's because Canelo, I don't know if he has it in him anymore to get these guys out of there. And then it's a good points from both of you. Yeah, thank you, Todd. Man, I'm gonna put the link in the just in case we can get some of your thoughts as well.
Yeah. So all in all, was this my question to you, Will? Was this bundle worth $90?
Oh no, man. None of it. This stuff. So listen, you asking somebody. I was just having a conversation with this guy yesterday. None of this stuff is worth it. These dudes aren't getting busy. Now, last week fight, and the other thing too, is you had two guys last week who were willing to put it on the line. Maybe this card should have been before that. Like if you had this fight first, then your expectations wouldn't have been so high because of those guys put it all on the line last week. The way Eubank was fighting through, like the fact that he was definitely depleted based on, and you saw him trying to make weight and all like the struggles that he went through, and then perform the way he performed, and then Ben the early rounds was fighting, but that was life and death in there. It wasn't none of that. But none of these dudes, man, like this is a different era. It's only a few guys that you're gonna see. You got the Bivals, the Better Beeves, and people like that. You know what I'm saying? That you can take a witness and see. You got the Alexander Usyks and people like that could fight in another era. Like these dudes, it's not the same thing. That we're not seeing the same type of fighters. Anything else you want to share or say before we get off into breaking down what it is we saw in each of these individual fights?
No, we
all right. Well, we ain't gonna go right in, man. I might cut this because I had something that I wanted to say, and also may the fourth be with you.
Oh yeah.
Before we get to that, I do want to point out that this is Cinco de Mayo weekend, and really that sort of Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence weekend stuff kind of started with Floyd Mayweather. Who was the fighter that he fought first when he started to take over those weekends?
The one off the top of my head is Oscar De La Hoya.
Absolutely. So that actually happened on Cinco de Mayo when he won a split decision against Oscar, which I think most people think that he won. If we want to take a few, take a little look at what was going on there. Here's some.
Too much because he can't deal with Floyd's feet in the center of the ring. He's trying to counter it, but
what you think about that fight?
He's trying to get
Floyd
to the rope before he can be effective. Right.
Of your recollection of that fight?
I thought Floyd Mayweather won a decision comfortably. I thought Oscar started well with a jab, but Floyd started to time that jab with, the right hands over the top in the counters. And also De La Hoya, he started to tire down a stretch. And Floyd Mayweather is not the type of fight that you should tire down a stretch with, that you can. And I'm glad you brought up this fight because even though Floyd Mayweather outboxed Oscar, at least he was landing punches. He wasn't just moving around Oscar. He was moving a little bit to to offset Oscar, but he was landing punches on Oscar. Even
you saying that right, but you're saying that to say what though? Like what is that in reference to who? Like you saying that for a reason.
When people say outbox and box, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I expect when they say outbox and or even comfortably outbox or outclass or outskill. This is what I look for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Floyd was a master, man. So you got that fight. Also, oh my God, on the second on 2009. What do you recall that of the Manny Pacquiao versus Ricky Hatton?
Man, I was afraid. Honestly, I was afraid for Hatton when he went to sleep. When the referee or whoever, the doctor, I can't remember who it was, but when he was down, they rolled him over and his eyes open. I was kind of afraid. But that was one of those, knockout of the year type things for Pacquiao. It was, it was a good fight while it lasted. Almost
it wasn't a good fight. He was beating the heck out of Ricky.
But almost this is almost what I expected to happen in the Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia fight. Something like this where somebody was going to get hurt.
And this right here, this left hand he's just gonna catch him slipping. Like right here, about 12 seconds. Watch this. Nah, it's gonna be right a little bit after that. Wow, that's it. Get him up out of there. Yeah, like I said, I saw that at a sports bar. I was in Dallas, and when I was on the phone with my girl at the time, and I told her, I said, "Man, Floyd better leave this little dude alone." You know what I'm saying? And so, no, I wasn't expecting anything like that. As far as Ryan Garcia and Rolly, because Ryan Garcia didn't even look like himself. Ostarine is a hell of a drug, man.
I mean, it is. Let's talk about it. It is, and he can use every excuse in the book. That scene right there. That scene where they were holding it, hat his head. I was kind of scared.
Yeah. But the other one on here, you got the Corrales, and so this was the fight that they had. That Corrales had that comeback. Let's watch a little bit of this, man, because he was getting whooped on. So check this out. We about to get.
Yeah, Castillo's working him out.
Do you remember Corrales used to put his mouthpiece out?
Yeah, he would do that a lot, and I even remember that fight with Joe Casamayor when the mouthpiece went through his lip, and the ringside doctor was coming to him and saying, "I'm going to stop the fight." This dude cussed out everybody from her to his dad. It's like, dude, the mouthpiece is
going to be a lip. Fight like this anymore. Like you will never, and I don't even think they would allow a fight to go on. But look at it. Look at this, man. This is crazy how these dudes were warriors like that.
I was actually not showing up on the screen here, but definitely I remember it. It's etched in my skull. So, there we go. There we go.
I thought you was watching, but here, this is when he get dropped though.
Yeah,
he get dropped on right here. He looked like he was out of there, but then when they got into that exchange, he ended up clipping. Correct. Castillo, you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And then he hurt Castillo right there. Castillo's whipping the mess out of him. And then here, you see that, man? Like, dudes don't even do this anymore. And oh my God, there you go. See. Oh my God, man. Shout out to Chico, man.
Shout out Chico.
And then Chico, and he had that accident or something like that where he ended up dying. But that was like not too long after he went up to 147 and he challenged Joshua Clottey.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I don't know, like I don't know if that, because he took a lot of punishment in that fight, and I don't know if that punishment contributed to him in losing his life. I think it was on a motorcycle or something like that, right? And so I remember a guy named James Schuler who ended up dying like right after he had an accident after he got knocked out by Tommy Hearns. It was like a couple of days later. And then Davey Moore had a situation like that. So I always wonder, did the punishment in those fights contribute to their untimely demise? But anyway, speaking of the fights, man, because I think that a lot of people have a perception of things because you had some bad commentating the other day. What did you think about the commentating in a fight? For instance, I didn't like how Antonio Tarver was covering the Devin Haney fight at all. And I like Tarver. I think that he's a sharp guy. I just felt like he was cutting jigs the other day because he was trying to follow the lead of Jim Lampley. And for instance, out the gate, it's 15 seconds into the fight, and he's like, come on, Devin, you got to step to him. You got to do 15 seconds into the fight, brother. Like, and the man is just coming off of taking a lot of punishment against a dude who's on PEDs. Like, that's what you want to do out the gate? Come on, man. 15 seconds into the fight. So my question to you before we get into this is what did you think about the commentating the other day, man? Or was I just off? You know what I mean? I was irritated.
I guess I was irritated, but I would say that, I mean, yeah, you can't expect Haney to just come off in like 15 seconds. Now, I did expect more as far as, like, even in my prediction last week, I expected that rush and all that, but at some point, I expected it to warm up a little bit because it's not. We act like Devin Haney got knocked out. He didn't. He didn't get knocked out in his last fight. Technically,
he fought a man on PEDs and he got knocked down like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. That was a lot of punishment.
And still outboxed him over the course of the fight. Really, to be honest, he just lost from the knockdowns. Really, he outboxed him.
Are you serious that you like coming into a fight after fighting somebody who's on PEDs? It's not like you just fought a regular human being, a guy who has power, but he's on PEDs. He's punishing you for 3 or 4 of those rounds, but it was some hellacious like knockdowns that he was coming from. Getting hit in the head, I would think what I was more so, I was really happy. Like I'm really happy that Devin Haney followed the game plan. He didn't listen to what these dudes were saying because you in a no-win situation. I sit up here and I give you what you want, and then something happens, then you're gonna be laughing at me.
No, I wasn't asking for blood and guts, but at least a little bit of Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, touch the body, a little bit. Don't go 2-3 minutes running around a guy like without throwing a punch.
All right. Let's go ahead and get off into the box. Like I said, I was disappointed in what I heard from the commentary the other day.
Yeah, put a link in there for Shelton too.
I got him, sir. He's in there already. All right. So Rolly Romero, he ended up outpointing Ryan Garcia. As we get Shelton into the fold, can you go ahead and tell us what you saw the other day?
Man, one of the most impressive things about Friday, it was funny, is that Rolly Romero kept that right hand up the whole fight, which is interesting. And he fought a disciplined fight. Boring fight. I mean, he really didn't sell out after he hurt Ryan, but he got the victory. Ryan Garcia, obviously, he did not look the same. We already talked about it. We know why. This is like a 12-round tense fest. You know what I'm saying? They both were very, very tense, afraid to make a mistake. Rolly caught Ryan Garcia with a left hook, I think in the second round, and put Garcia on his seat. Garcia got up and decided, hey, I'm just here to collect a paycheck. And Derek James was just pleading with him, man, fight, dude. This dude is like, think about it. This Ryan Garcia just got outboxed by Rolly Romero. Listen to how that sounds. And he couldn't hurt a guy who has a reputation of being shitty. That should tell you all that should tell you all you should know about Ryan Garcia. Very, very disappointing performance by Ryan. After all that, they talk all this trash and say this and that, like they got real animosity. They get in the ring and it's like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? I was more entertained by the press conference, that face-off press conference. But shout out to Rolly Romero for at least getting that win. You know, so I was actually rooting for him, and I'm happy that he got the victory on Ryan Garcia. Because even at the end, I was afraid they was going to try to rob him and give it to Ryan Garcia anyway to set up that Devin Haney match. And matter of fact, I still want to see that match with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. So Haney can still beat the crap out of Ryan Garcia, and everybody can shove all those words they said back in their mouth.
What up, Sean? How you doing, good brother?
Fellas, salute. What's happening? I'm at the store.
Salute.
But I just want to chime in before I get back to the pad. I'm gonna stay on, but that was two of the worst cards I've seen in a while. Both cards were trash.
Yes, indeed.
I have nothing good to say about either card. Except for the Bakole fight. I like that.
Gotcha. What about Garcia and Rolly? What you see?
Oh, I'm very proud of Big Rolo.
578.
Big Rolo. I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
I beat Ryan Garcia. Yeah. Go, Rolly.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you shop, Sheldon. I'm gonna say a few things that I saw the other day. I'm utterly. The fight was the fight. These aren't like the Hall of Fame caliber type fighters, especially when you got a Ryan Garcia who is not on the juice. And you've seen it in his personality. You've seen it in his physique. This guy is 4 or 5 pounds heavier than he was in the Devin fight, but he looks like a swimmer or something like that. He's no muscle definition or anything like that. And so, again, the appalling thing is how they treat this dude. Like, they never even, I'm listening to the press conference afterwards. He's making all type of excuse. Something wasn't right. I just didn't feel like myself. No, you didn't have any PEDs in you, sir. Like, so can we address that? Nobody in the media ever said anything about that. Oh, what do you think? What was it the preparation with you and Derek? And we had a preparation without the ostarine, sir. That's what the problem was. You didn't have it in your system. So let's go ahead and knock out the nonsense. And then Jim Lampley, I think he's like a racist Jim Crow Lampley. That's what they should call the dude. He's sitting up here. Man, I wrote down different notes that this dude was saying about Ryan Garcia. Like he's like the face of boxing and all this type of stuff. You're going to see a sensational fighter who with a blistering left hand who's the future superstar of boxing and blah blah blah. You never mentioned the dude was just suspended for PEDs. Like nobody ever mentioned that. You saying all of these glowing things about him, and nobody ever mentions that. It's so frustrating. And then I heard Tarver, and that disappointed me. And other guys will address this. I know Roy Jones wouldn't have took that alley-oop. Like, so what he was doing is he was trying to keep in line, but he started off doing it all on his own. But I started hearing around 5th round, Jim Lampley talking about he was encouraging him to continue to have this, negative tone when he talked about Devin Haney in reference to Ryan Garcia. Oh yeah, great job there, Antonio. Man, if you don't get up out of here with all that type of stuff, stop the cooning, brother. Like, come on, stop the nonsense. You ain't got to do all that in order to be successful. It's okay to say the truth, sir. You're good at what you do. You're a former fighter. You know the game. You know what it is that you see. You know what guys need to do in order to correct what it is that needs to be corrected. You're good at that, but don't add the layer of cooning to what it is that you're doing. We need to cut all that type of stuff out. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything constructive for the sport of boxing. Now, as far as what I saw Ryan Garcia. He tasted the can. He never had it, and the vicious left hand that he's supposed to. He ain't had no vicious left hand. That left hand, I would venture to say this dude has been juicing allegedly. It was like at 130.
Luke Campbell?
Nah, it's before that. It's before that. It was a guy that Tank Davis fought that Tank went by 8 rounds with. And so that was supposed to be Ryan Garcia's fight that they were trying to see if he was really not just this YouTube sensation. And he went in there and knocked the dude out in the first round. Somebody mentioned that. They said that's an eye-opener right there because that dude really is supposed to be like a rugged guy. Francisco, yeah, it was him. All right, come on, man. Come on here, man. holler at us for a second. You go ahead and jump off anytime you want to, man. You know your stuff. But that man, something ain't been right because that punch was too lethal. Then I see him against Romero. Like you just said, he's a chinny guy. He's sitting over there hitting him, and it's like you throwing some confetti at somebody. He hit him a couple times. So let's knock the nonsense off, man. Anything else you got to say? I want to take a look at my notes because that glazing that Lampley was doing on this dude is crazy. The other thing I want to say is this. If Devin Haney, what's his name, talks about it, De La Hoya, Lampley was alluding to it. Tarver was alluding to it. So if they're saying that Devin Haney is damaged goods from the Ryan Garcia fight, doesn't he deserve to be compensated for the damage you did when you on PEDs? You can't have it both ways, man. They keep acting like the fight that took place April 20th of last year was just a regular fight. Nobody was on anything. They keep acting like that. And it's pathetic. Anything else you got about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, Devin Haney should be compensated, but probably it should be in the court of law. He shouldn't be compensated with the money that I'm spending, though. Not by my money. It should be Ryan Garcia that's compensating Devin Haney.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Ain't nobody talking about you compensating him. I'm talking about Ryan Garcia. So when he take the man to court and stuff like that, he should be able to do that and still be able to have his head up high without people sitting up here talking crazy to him for doing what he should do. If you're going to say that he's not the same fighter, he has a right to be compensated. That's the compensatory way in order to handle that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying anything about whatever it is, however it is you feel about his performance and things like that. To me, I understand where he is in his career, and I was more happy to see that the man was disciplined and not putting himself in harm, and he was able to get a victory. Now moving forward, you can work off that. Nobody said anything about Anthony Joshua when he fought the guy. He came back and fought, and he was looking like he was trying to box and he was trying to stay out of harm's way. Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything in the UK when Sonny Edwards got about 2 knockouts. He running around the ring winning fights. Nobody said anything. That's Sonny Edwards style. Nobody said anything about Savan Akhti, who had 1 or 2 knockouts in his whole career. He was the champion over there in Germany. Nobody said anything. But this guy right here who's coming off, was Devin Haney fighting like that before he fought Ryan Garcia? No, he wasn't fighting like that because he dropped Regis Prograis. He went in there and he was fighting dudes. No, you want to come back and get your mind clear. I want to go 12 rounds with a former champion. I'm following the game plan. I'm not putting myself in any harm's way. Fine. Move on to the next one. But anyway, what else you have to say, sir?
That's it for that.
All right, now we go to the Devin Haney fight. Well, let me go ahead and go to the dang on score. Nobody's saying nothing about this dude right here. Look at these dang on final punch stats. He's sitting up here. He landed 18 power punches and only threw 48. You're supposed to be a power puncher. Romero, 18 out of 65, but he landed 2 on his chin and knocked him down.
Yeah, it's funny because
total punches 66 to 57. Come on, man.
Yeah, Rolly, I can see that because Rolly is always he's a sloppy fighter that's always looking for that one shot. But Ryan, I'm like, he's more of an active, jab, left hook type of guy. And of course, because of the lack of PEDs, we didn't get that yesterday. I actually thought Ryan would take Rolly out of there like the 3rd, 4th round.
He would have on PEDs. He would have. He would have.
So, hey, but it didn't happen. He wasn't super King Ryan yesterday or Friday.
So what do you think about Devin? I know you want to say some negativity about Devin.
It was just, I just expected him to turn it up a little bit more. I mean, I get it. He was coming off that fight that was rough. And I wanted him to shake that rust off for the first 6 rounds. But the second half of the fight, I felt like I wanted him to step it up because Ramirez it's obvious he wasn't no match for him. Ramirez really wasn't the same fighter. And Ramirez didn't he wasn't cutting the ring off. He would follow Devin Haney right around everywhere. And Ramirez wasn't even throwing punches himself. So it's like you had a beaten man in front of you. And I think I understand Haney wanted to play it safe, but I want at least throw some more jabs or something, man. Just jab and move, stick and move. He was just moving and just moving around him for like a whole minute and a half, 2 minutes of doing nothing. But I'm glad that he made it out safe. He didn't get hurt or anything like that. I still probably favor him over Ryan Garcia. So, hey, get your money.
I don't know. Like this, I feel so bad for that young man right there. The great character that he shows. But
I don't feel bad for millionaires.
I do, because you're still a human being and you're still being discriminated against. You're still being a person who's doing things the right way, and people still find a way to nitpick, and they still find ways to say negative things towards you when you are one of the most honorable people in the sport of boxing. It should be the other way around. So yes, I do have some type of sympathy. I have some type of empathy, for especially someone who's like 25, 26 years old. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have some type of feeling towards that. And I know this system, and I know what they tend to do, because when you sitting up here talking about Jim Lampley, when they was bringing Ryan Garcia into the ring, what was he saying? Stuff like, this is, what did he say?
He said a whole bunch.
What I'm saying. No, I wrote it because I was so appalled at what it is I'm saying. I'm like, hey, nobody else is seeing this. These are the wheels that will bring in the dynamic and charismatic Ryan Garcia. So Ryan Garcia, who's been racist towards different groups of people, Ryan Garcia, who had performance enhancing drugs in the system, that's how you talk about him. But nothing this young man could do to none of you is going to be anything that you see that's positive, especially. See, if it was another person, remove Devin Haney from this situation, or let's role reverse this. If Ryan Garcia was the one, Devin Haney has PEDs in the system fighting against Ryan Garcia and all of that. They wouldn't be talking about no charismatic or anything glowing about that. Only thing that they will talk about, will he be the same now that was the suspension long enough for him? Most people think that he should be banned from the sport. Like, it'd be stuff like that. And guess what will happen? People who listening to it are going to be start saying the same thing that they say, because of the fact that you get so that stuff gets ingrained in you subconsciously that you start spewing the same stuff that these bozos be saying. But I can't do it, because I'm gonna keep it the way I see from right from wrong. Then that's how I'm gonna go ahead and disseminate the information that I'm saying. Like, dang, these bozos, all this stuff all day that they kept saying from 15 seconds to the fight when Antonio Tarver is asking a dude to basically slug it out with Ramirez. No way in that fight, or nowhere in that fight, would I want Devin Haney exchanging with Ramirez, because that's the only way Ramirez can win.
Antonio Tarver himself doesn't even slug it out with Roy.
You know who the onus in this fight should have been on? Ramirez. Yeah, sir, you cut the ring off. Will you go in there and make him stop? That's what you do. It ain't Devin Haney supposed to make it easier for you to go ahead and hit me. No, if this is my best way to win, then you win like that. It used to be in boxing, you can watch a fight and the dude is a boxer, he's moving around. If he can win like that, then go ahead and win like that. Nobody cared about whether or not you sitting there in front of somebody and giving them a chance, the opportunity to hit you. No, if you can go in there and like settle down a little bit more, if that's something that you good at and that's something that you comfortable with, then by all means do it. Obviously, he's trying to get a win underneath his belt. Obviously, you're gonna come into the ring a little bit nervous. You just was in a fight with someone, just like the Sarase fighter. Sarase was trying to check and see that right hand. Every time he's trying to check Munguia. It's okay. And so Munguia was like, okay, now I'm gonna take this away, and then I'm gonna win this fight. I'm gonna stay disciplined. I'm gonna listen to my corner. I appreciated what the young guys did. I'm not listening to those no Jim Lampley or anybody like that, or Jim Crow Lampley. So here it says Ryan bet on himself to lose. I ain't get, yeah.
Oh yeah. This comment from Jim Lampley. Garcia's never been in with a puncher like Romero. I thought that one down. I'm like, so Tank is not a puncher? Okay. All right.
So it would be impossible to take a nap in Times Square, but this one is capable of giving someone a snooze. And he's talking about the Devin Haney fight.
Who said that?
That's what Jim Lampley said. It's impossible to take a nap in Times Square, but this one, a person will be capable of getting a snooze. Now, no one else does this when it comes to their sport. How am I sitting up here watching this fight, and you are supposed to be the ones who are promoting the action? How are you telling me that I don't need to be watching what it is that you are showing?
They do that in other sports. They did it in basketball. That's why everybody's scoring threes right now, because in 2005, they hated the finals again from the Pistons and the Spurs because it was one of the most defensive play games, defensive play series.
Who did that?
I don't know, but the format changed after that. It was all of a sudden less than 20 years. Now score three. I think
you mixing in something that's not the same as what they're doing. They only do this with certain guys. They were doing it with Rigo. They do it with other fighters like Shakur and people like that. But you have sometimes the same type of boxing that one person does. They'll say that that's the best thing that they've seen. You see the movement. So-and-so won a round without even throwing a punch. How in the hell can you win a round without throwing a dang on punch? Now I think that you cap it now. See, because of the fact that what one person does, they'll glorify it. What another person does, they'll go ahead and demonize it. So no, man, I'm not listening to these bozos. You got to be like, because it's a bigger picture to this than just what we see. But as far as how they sit up here and talk negative about their product, they're not necessarily talking negative about their product. It's just certain guys that they'll talk negative about. And it's nothing that they can do that will, if Devin Haney went in there and he whooped on Ramirez, well, what are they going to say? Ramirez is past it. You know, obviously he's past it. He lost to Barboza last time. He hasn't been the same. He's married now and blah, blah, blah. This, he's older. You know, there's nothing he can do. So go in there and then just go into the fight, leave unscathed. You were supposed to have a fight with Ryan Garcia set up already. So let's go into that fight. And we already got us 12 rounds in against a former champion to get our confidence back going into the Ryan Garcia fight. That's how I would have looked at it. And I'm proud of him. Devin, if you listen to this, man, I'm proud of you. Keep listening to your corner. Don't sit up here and engage. Because, see, what you did before is you was trying to give them everything that they wanted. You were trying to be honorable. You sat up there and you was going after the top fighters. You was trying to give us the Tank Davis fight all of those years. Yeah. You were doing that. You after you left the 135-pound weight class, collected all the belts, sacrificed, and went over to Australia and barely able to make the weight. You stayed around and fought Lomachenko and all that. You're trying to do the best, right? You're trying to do everything right. And then you, at the time, Westcom was supposed to be one of the most dangerous guys at 140. You took on Regis Prograis in your first fight at 140 pounds. It wasn't enough. Oh, obviously, Regis, he doesn't have any footwork. He's catching Regis at the wrong. They're not giving you credit. So then Ryan Garcia fight comes around. Ryan Garcia's acting all crazy and weird and stuff like that. He comes in overweight. Cool. I'll go ahead and let him go ahead and do that. You want to please the crowd and fight a little bit more aggressively than you typically do. And it's commendable you fighting a dude on PEDs. You keep getting up and you keep wanting more against a guy on PEDs. Do that? People mention the fact that you were being a warrior in that fight? No, they don't mention that. Oh, Haney sucks. He can't get out of the way of the left hand. Haney's he's a crybaby. No. So now, F you. I'm not giving you anything. You know what? You can say, oh, he's running and stuff like that. But after you say I was running, just let everybody know who won that fight. That's what you do.
Devin Haney was running like OC from Power Book 3. Like, I gotta go. I want to go.
And all that's cool. I ain't gonna say that about the brother. I'm gonna go ahead and speak highly of him. This fella right here, Ian, says the thing is, even though Rolly won, they still getting up the setting up the Haney Garcia fight. Rolly was even saying when he KOs Ryan, they still should have their fight. Yep. Yeah, Rolly's, you know what? The other thing about Rolly, I do want to say this, is Rolly seems like he's a lot more mature now than he's ever been. You know what I mean? He's a stand-up guy. He's saying that those dudes should have their fight. It has nothing to do with the outcome of this fight. So I totally agree. Kind of like somebody mentioned this before, when Carlos Baldomir ended up upsetting Zab Judah, him and Zab and Floyd already had their fight set up. And so they went ahead and fought even after Zab ended up losing to Baldomir. Then Floyd ended up fighting Baldomir. I remember that fight because that had to be in like November of that year, because I was in Indianapolis. I was down in the Circle City, and I came back to my room to watch the fight. And then after that is when Floyd set the fight up against Oscar De La Hoya. But you're absolutely right, sir.
Yeah, same thing happened when I think Eric Morales lost to Zahir Rahim, and they still went ahead with I think it was the third fight with Pacquiao.
They shouldn't have, because he got whooped on. But anyway, again, I just want to shout out to Dev, man. You did your thing, and forget old Jim Crow Lampley and old and Tarver for shucking and jiving, man. I'm disappointed in you, Antonio, man. You know what I mean? I always like his commentary because he's so insightful. He comes from that boxing perspective, and you need that. You want that. But if you're gonna be over there shucking and jiving, man, well, let's cut the nonsense off. Shout out to Paulie Malignaggi, though. Paulie Malignaggi, he kept it a buck with his commentary in terms of what he saw. He was like, he can almost get Devin a pass because he was coming into that fight after facing the dude on PEDs. So I really don't hold him, to the same standard that I would had he not. And so shout out to him for making that point. And then also here, you got the punch stats, power punches. Devin Haney landed 45 out of 92. And that's a high percentage that he landed at. And then Ramirez landed 17 punches out of 130 for 13.1%. So again, nobody says anything about Ramirez. It's just all Devin Haney. He has to take the brunt of the criticism, which is crazy. Yeah, man. Also, Teofimo, he outpointed Arnold Barboza Jr. in his defense. He dominated the clash. So you got good T.O. against Arnold Barboza. What did you think about that fight?
I expected more in this fight from Barboza. Now, T.O., he came in. He was looking sharp, and he was on point, hitting. And he was showing that he won this fight more off of athleticism than even skill, because he was so much faster than Barboza. But there was some times in the fight that I was like, that he even stunned Barboza. And I thought, hey, if he stepped on it enough, he could probably get Barboza out of there. But he never did. So that was a fight that probably could have been a knockout too. So, hey, it is what it is.
That's it. That's all you saw. You didn't see anything else. It's nothing else you saw. That's it.
No, I just saw $90. That's all I saw. Fly away.
So with this fight right here, like I say, my expectations, it wasn't high. It's just, I know T.O., if T.O.'s on his game, he's better than Arnold Barboza. It's just that point. That's simple. And so he was. And T.O.'s fighting in New York. I'm not certain if he's necessarily from there. I know some people say, man, you from Tampa or you from Florida, but I know he lived in New York for quite some time. And so it feels like home to him. And I can tell how confident he was going into the fight. That's when I started thinking, I'm like, you know what, T.O. might be on one for this fight. And when it's the big lights, that's when you get a good T.O. too. You know what I'm saying? So, he performed well. He was just too fast, too twitchy for Arnold Barboza. Barboza is a good fighter if he's fighting somebody who isn't as dynamic as T.O., because just that speed difference was just throwing him off, throughout the course of the fight. And T.O., landed a few shots here and there that kind of had him hesitant. So I thought it was a good performance for T.O., based on the fact that the widespread margin of the victory. But it was expected, if T.O. is going to be at his apex, he will always beat somebody like an Arnold Barboza. So it wasn't surprising. So here in the chat, it says, Ian says, that is arguably the closest fight. T.O. was sharp. A lot of people underestimate him. T.O.'s IQ to be able to do all the things you call athleticism is sharp. All right, he says closest in the build-up. Yeah, in the build-up, but again, he just didn't know which T.O. you were going to get, right? T.O., one of my favorite fighters. that performance doing the fancy stuff in the ring against Barboza is awesome. Yeah, and he's going to do that. That's what Tio does. If he catches a beat on a guy, and you can tell when you got a good Tio because he start having fun inside the ring and start doing a little extra stuff. So as far as the punch stats, Tio landed 73 out of 198, 38%, where Barboza only landed 33 shots. These were like some of the lowest punch stats I've seen, throughout each of these cards. Now, Tio's talking about he want that boot smoke, man. What do you think about him and Boots?
Man, he better stay far away from Boot. All these guys, even moving up to 147, better stay. Ryan Garcia, they need to stay far away from Boot.
Oh, but Teofimo Lopez, sir, how about that look? He wants him. So if he's going to fight him, what's going to happen?
I mean, he wants the smoke. Hey,
what's going to happen if he fights the man?
It's going to be an exciting fight. Tio's gonna get hurt, get hit a lot because he's dealing with a bigger guy. It's harder. It's gonna be hard for him to be athletic against a bigger guy who also moves, probably has a better skill set than he does. Tio just has better wins, and he's further along in his career than Boots is. But I'm not sure if Tio, because he's touched that limelight. I'm not sure if he's even as hungry as Boots in his head.
He looked hungry the other day.
He looked hungry against Barboza, but Boots is gonna be a different animal. Has Teofimo Lopez even fought a dude that big? So
no,
exactly. So that's gonna be a rough fight for Tio, in my opinion.
It's gonna be factors on both ends. Has Boots fought somebody as talented as Tio?
No.
So it's going to be pros and cons. What is it going to look like, sir? That's the question. Like, what's going to happen? What's going to be the outcome? He's going to get knocked out. What you see?
Boots going to hurt Teofimo Lopez. I'm not sure if he will stop him, but because Teofimo Lopez can ball into a shell too. Not ball in shell and do nothing, but he can kind of ball into a shell and accept defeat. So I can see it in it that way, and I can see I can see Boots stopping Teofimo Lopez. I think Lopez is at some point he's going to be too small. Now people always talk about Teofimo Lopez's size. I mean, really looking at him dimension-wise, he's not really that big. He's just a compact dude, just like Stanionis. So we're going to get a fight just like that, similar to that. It's just that Lopez is more athletic. But you can't. I mean, it's harder to be athletic and move around a guy as big as Boots the way Tio does it. I can't see it.
Yeah, I just don't know what he would do with that size. Like he's doing that against Barboza. Barboza, that's one thing and Aaron was saying. He was like, dude can't crack an egg. And so that's one thing to be able to fight somebody like that who's limited and then trying to fight Boots. I think that he would be better suited if he was a little bit more fundamentally sound. Both guys are kind of use their athleticism more so. I think Tio used a little bit more technique because I've seen Tio in the past, not necessarily last fight, but he'll use stuff like a shoulder roll and things like that. He's sharp. He's sharp. I just don't think that he got enough power, and I don't think he'll be able to take Boots' punches that well. But the man wants it. Go ahead, give him what he wants.
Yeah, one thing for sure about Teofimo Lopez, if he accepts this fight, even if I think he would lose it, he's probably going to. This is a fight that he's probably going to be up for. He's going to show up for. This won't be like a George Kamboza's or a Sander Martin or anything like that. Tio will be locked in, and he's always been a guy that can surprise you too. So that's the interesting part.
I don't think you ever question Tio when it comes to like higher profile opponents. Like if you look at his resume, he typically comes to the party when it comes to them. It is the Sandor Martins. That's the only reason you were questioning his performance last fight is because is he going to, fight similar as he did against the Martins, against the Ortizes, and with Barboza's style being kind of similar to those other guys, was he going to stink up the joint as a result? But a Boots, not somebody you're calling out. Like I don't see him stinking up the joint. He's going to be prepared as much as he possibly can. He's going to be as hungry as he possibly can against somebody like that. Ian says, I assume Teo wants boots because he has a game plan. Maybe, not sure. He's asking for that fight for a reason. Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, I think a lot of those guys look at Boots differently than most fans because they know Boots like through the amateurs and things like that. And it's something that they see in Boots that the average eye is not seeing. Norman Sr. talks about some of those things, but he's not as specific as probably he will be if his son gets the fight after the fight. But it's certain things that those guys see in Boots that they think that they can take advantage of. Now, it's one thing to be able to see it outside the ring, but you know how images get once you get close up on them, just like with your rearview mirror. You understand what I'm saying? Canelo, man. Canelo achieves undisputed super middleweight status after defeating William Scull yesterday. I know that's a fight that you was highly anticipating.
No, I was snoring. I packed it in by 11 o'clock. I was in bed.
So you didn't see the fight?
No, man. Last fight I saw was I went to bed about the middle of near the end of the Battle Jack fight.
Gotcha. No,
I thought that was probably more entertaining than a lot of these fights.
Yep. So as far as this fight is concerned, what you saw a lot of was let me see my guy down here. He says Teo need to keep Boots out of his mouth for his own good. No, he should. He should keep him. No, you would think, but I can't knock a man for having that type of appetite. Like if he wants that smoke with Boots, let him have it. You know what I'm saying? And you just never know. I would favor Boots. I think that that's a bad fight for Teo. But for some reason, I thought that once he saw Boots against Stanionis, he was going to stop all of that. This dude doubling down on it. He's still saying they promised me that they were going to give me Boots. So if he want it, man, go ahead and you know, can't stop a man for, you know, you can't hate a man for knowing what it is he like and what he want. I'm betting on Teo if it happens. If it depends on what he would be he definitely gonna be underdog. That has to be about at least a 5-6-1. He'll be 5-6-1 underdog. I mean, it would be good to put a little bit just in case, but I just can't see it. But again, he must have some type of game plan. It's kind of like Crawford when he see Canelo. It's like he always wanted that smoke. Keep trying to get that money. I'm not mad at that he's trying to get that payday. But see, the thing is, I think he would be better suited with some other guys. Like he probably get paid more for some other fights that's easier.
Yeah, like Ryan Garcia.
Like a Ryan Garcia, he can take like one or two of those fights that are more, you know, easily in his favor. You know what I'm saying? But again, he seemed like he just wants to challenge himself against that man, you know, because he could go some other directions. If he just won a belt at 147, why not, you know, bark up the Normans or what's my guy name with the other belt?
Mario Barrios.
Yeah, like Barrios and dudes like that, right? You would think. But as
far as Teo versus Barrios, that's not a bad fight neither. Yeah.
But then you'll start thinking, is Teo gonna get up for Barrios like he's, you know what I'm saying?
right. Barrios ended up beating him. That'd be funny though. And
he probably don't want to, you know, be fighting dudes that's already on like Tank resume. You know what I'm saying? Like he want to do something different.
Hey man, look at Ian's. I got to talk to you, Ian. You said it's called the takeover for a reason. I'm gonna say something about that. Teo probably had the potential to take over, but he had all the opportunity. He could have been took over, but he got to get up for every fight, man. You got to be up for it. You can't be slacking.
Well, if he beat Boots, I'm gonna call him a takeover for the rest of his life. But as far as Canelo is concerned, man, yesterday in this fight, I'm starting to see more and more slippage with Canelo because there's nothing he could do to get this dude out of there. William Scull looked big as I don't know what, though. I was surprised at the size disparity or the difference between the two. But it was a pattern there. Scull move around. He had come off the ropes, and then Canelo, just like you see right here, he had rat-a-tat-tat him with a few body shots. And that was the pattern of the
head back.
That was the pattern of the whole fight. And then it got to a point where the referee was like, you dudes are going to have to stop all this moving and things like that. Canelo, I can see if Crawford, if he can not put himself, the problem that I'm worried about for Crawford is this, is that when he gets hit sometimes, he immediately wants to get his hit back. And he's going to have to, like, that urgency or that urge to do so, he has to not fall victim to that, because Canelo could just put his lights out if he catches him with some of those big shots, because he was hitting him with some thudding body shots and things like that. But it's not consistent. And that's the reason why I think Bud can beat him, is because he can fight a fight where when Canelo, you know when Canelo's going to shoot those shots. So it's not like he's going to get hit with anything unless he's just trying to exchange with Canelo. He won't be getting hit with anything that he didn't see for the most part, especially at this stage of Canelo's career. He's very, very like everything it's nothing unpredictable. It's all predictable as far as now he does it well, you know, like as far as the combination punches, and it seems like it's hurtful, but at the same time, it's just not anything that you won't be prepared for. And that's the reason why I think Bud might be able to, you know, get Canelo. T.O. versus Boots is a huge fight. It is. It's called Takeover. Ryan, I don't like neither of them, but I got T.O. Yeah, especially a non-PED Ryan. Yeah, you knock him out. Canelo, another decision. Yeah, man, he's not getting these dudes out of there. Crawford is going to. I don't know about that though, fam.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's probably going to be a boring fight, and where Crawford is not going to take too much risk against Canelo and risk getting. He still knows that Canelo can crack. So unless he hurts him, he's going to take a decision.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that latter half of what King Grayson said, as far as he definitely can outbox him. Yeah, he definitely can do that. And he can make things, you know, he can do things at his own pace and when he wants to do it. And it's just don't fight Canelo at Canelo's pace. And I think the other thing too, Canelo likes to, like I say, fight at his own rate. And if Crawford can be like hitting him with some stuff when Canelo's trying to rest, that's going to frustrate the mess out of Canelo. And if he forces Canelo to fight at a faster rate than he typically fights, then he might fade himself. That will be interesting to see how things go down the stretch, because, you know, Bud, he's going to throw some of them shots. Also, can Bud hurt Canelo? If he can hurt Canelo, then it's going to be all bad for Canelo.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Crawford wins on points. Yeah, you got to watch it, though. Even though it wasn't the best fight yesterday, I enjoyed the fight from the perspective of looking at Canelo, what he looked like in comparison to somebody like Bud. And then it's also going to depend on what Bud looks like at 168. Like he looks great. Like when I'm seeing him in pictures and stuff like that, like the way he's carrying it well. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to carry it for all 12 rounds well against, you know, somebody like Canelo. But here's the punch stats as well. Look at all of these fights, man. 48 punches landed out of 89 as far as the total power punches. As far as Scull, he landed 28 out of 73. As far as the total punches, Canelo landed 56 out of 152. And these dudes are talking bad about Devin like these are the same stats. Like, what are you saying, man?
Yeah, I'm glad I went to sleep, man.
Well, again, I consider myself an aficionado when it comes to the sport. And sometimes when I watch fights, even if I don't like the fight as far as quality, you know, like it wasn't like a fight like last week. Last week was a fight that you can watch and you're going to be utterly entertained, you know, based on the grittiness of both guys. This fight wasn't that. It wasn't in comparison to that. This is going to be like a -1. But when you're looking at the fight and you comparing what Canelo looks like at this stage of his career and that fight that he's going to have with Bud, then you can kind of see like how the likely outcome of that fight. And so again, that's the reason why I was looking. I'm like, is Canelo ever going to like do something different? But no, the same Canelo thing. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see if Canelo was working on some things for Bud, but he wasn't. He was just doing the same thing over and over because Skull was letting him do it. And then he said, okay, I can go ahead and coast and do this for 12 rounds. But you developed that pattern since like the Ryder fight. And so how well are you going to be able to do something different at this stage of your career when they say, you know, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, you see? And so Ian says, look how Skull moved around against Canelo. Imagine that. I think you're saying Bud with actual real smart punches. Bud don't be moving like that though anymore. Like Skull he was moving well. I don't see Bud moving like that. I think Bud's gonna be in front of Canelo, but he's going to be peppering him. He has them long arms, and he's gonna be throwing some shots that it's gonna be some high quality stuff that both guys are doing. Some people have that one hit or quitter power. It's just through the bloodline. I think he's definitely going to be able to hurt Canelo. If you're right, man, it's a wrap. Canelo ain't beating Bud if he can hurt him, and if he's kind of hesitant. And then King Grayson says some people just got yeah, I read that right there and think okay, you back. I got you. He's not KOing Canelo though. That's an easy thing to accept. No, he's not. I don't see that happening. It's the difference between hurting somebody and them feeling your shots. It's kind of like I always bring this up. In the Michael Spinks fight that he had against Larry Holmes, the first fight, Michael Spinks said that he was nervous as hell going into that fight. He said the first thing I was looking for is to see if Holmes was going to flinch when he threw his Spinks jinx. He said they got into an exchange. He threw a right hand, and he said that Larry Holmes braced himself. He kind of closed his eyes. He said when he saw that, he said, I know I can beat him. I can beat him now because he's going to be, susceptible to my feints and things like that. All right. And so Andrew says, Andrew G says, LOL. All right, let's go ahead and get is the man, he done left again?
Yeah. Look at these punch stats, though. Look, the first round, total punches landed. 0 out of 4 for Alvarez, 1 out of 20 for Skull. Round 10, 3 out of 11 for Alvarez, 5 out of 24 for Skull. 11, 2 out of 13 for Alvarez, 4 out of 16 for Skull.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ann says Bud gonna need to move because Canelo is strictly power puncher. It seemed like now if Crawford just hit and move like Skull, but with more punch output, slickness, he's winning on points. Yeah. I as far as movement, yeah, he's gonna move, but it won't be like Skull was moving a little too much. I don't think he's gonna be moving like that because he'll wear himself out doing that at that new weight. He's gonna give him just enough movement. I think it's gonna be more so angles though that he uses, and some of those punches, those counter shots that he has coming back at Canelo, that's going to be also part of his defense as well. Is the fact that Canelo's not going to want to be getting hit, especially with something that he doesn't see. But we shall see. Skull was only there to survive. Yep, obviously Bud's coming to win. I agree. All right, so the fight is set up. It's hard to ask you who do you have because you didn't see the fight yesterday. But you still going with Canelo?
I don't know, man. I have to reassess after what I'm hearing. I had to look at it, and now this might turn me into favoring Bud. But I will say this: regardless of who I favor, I think this is going to be a fight where the cake don't rise. Don't expect much. Expect a very, very skilled encounter. Don't expect any fireworks. So any casual fans out there, don't get your hopes up.
I don't know because see sometimes when you playing that high stakes chess. See, that's different than when you seeing dudes who aren't that talented, like Rolly and Ryan. It just wasn't as much talent there. But when you got dudes who them upper echelon guys, at any moment something can happen, then it's like you willing to see that because you're like, dang, because you're gonna be at the edge of your seats. But when you see just a certain pattern that's happening over and over, somebody who's kind of reluctant, after they get hurt, and they scared to apply some pressure, then a corner man is like, dude, come on, man, do something. You know what I mean? Like, that's different than you sitting there and dudes countering. And yeah, that's a little bit different, you know. What up, Sheldon? You back? While Sheldon get his microphone together, Fashion Magazine TV, he says,
I'm back, brothers. I'm back.
You're going to beat Bud with concrete shoes. All right? I hear you. He says, Sheldon says he's back. All right. So anything you want to chime in on as far as what we talked about?
Yeah, man. We want to talk about this right here. I'm so happy that we have a fight date. We have a fight date, so I'm happy about that. September 12th. I will be in the house, and I got to see this. I got to see Bud go ahead and put it down for all you haters, all you non-believers. You know, you think this guy is Superman, just like my man Biffle said. I don't know what y'all see, but I don't see that. I'll say this guy is Superman. Well, we're going to find out just how good Canelo Alvarez really is. We're going to find out. Because what I've been seeing ever since the John Wilder fight is he's okay. Pretty good. He's not no world beater. I mean, but there ain't really no worlds to conquer. I want to see who's there. The one guy he was supposed to fight, he ran from. So, I mean, come on, man. Let's keep it a buck. Nobody wants to talk about that, though.
Oh, okay. So you want us to keep it a buck. Let me go ahead and keep it a buck then. Thank you, sir. I'm glad that you said that. So now we got Bud fighting another dude past his prime, catching him at the right time. Yeah, he you know, what's going looking long in the tooth.
And that's all good for Bud. And that's all good for Bud.
Yeah, that's all it is. Look at it. He's looking at Canelo. Look at this old man I'm fighting. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So you got Munguia said destroy Sarrise. I don't know about destroy, but he won and he sought out his redemption and he was able to win a 12-round decision over Bruno Sarrise. Bill, did you see that? I don't know, you was falling asleep. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Lavelle. I don't know. I don't know what be going on with the brother. Man,
well, I was there and I saw it, and I was happy for Sriracha. Surprised me a little bit, man, because Munguia was trying to knock him out of his body. He was trying to not take his soul from him. And Sriracha's a tough guy, man. He stood in there. He took his whooping. You know what I mean? I mean, the fight was never really in doubt. I mean, you know, Munguia controlled the fight from beginning to end, but Sriracha's a tough guy, man. He didn't wilt. He didn't run from Munguia, and he actually tried to win the fight. So big up to him.
Yeah, you know what surprised me yesterday when they mentioned, I didn't know Sarrise was a 175-pound fighter that moved down to 160. Now it makes sense. And so some of those guys be kind of a little bit tougher to put out because they're bigger, you know, naturally bigger. But,
right.
But what he was doing yesterday, Sarrise was trying to check that chin. And so he every time out the gate, he kept throwing that right hand, and McGill was ready. And what I liked about McGill yesterday was every time he'll throw them shots, he'll put them hands back up, like he had that guard up. And so again, that's the thing, man. Like dudes, sometimes you know you take a loss, but it's how you come back from that loss. You know, did you learn something from that loss? You know, so moving forward, I don't see him getting caught slipping like that. You know, anything can happen in the sport, but not like that, because he had let his guard down way too much in the first fight, and Sarrise took advantage. But they worked with him, and he was listening to his corner. And shout out to Canelo too. Did you see like when Canelo was giving him a few pointers and stuff like that before the fight?
I did see that. Good for Canelo, man. Working with his stablemate, you know. McGee came on home to the team, so he working with his stablemate. Good for Canelo, man. I like that.
I like seeing stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Here's the punch test. So McGee did land 77 out of 174 power punches. Sarrise landed 35 out of 107. McGee high, more total punches, landed at 105 out of 367. And he landed 60. Bruno landed 64 out of 292 power punches. All right. So now hopefully McGee will be able to get somebody like Berlanga if he's successful against Sarrise. All right, but we shall see. And Martin Bakole, F.A. Ajaba, man, it was a draw. Sheldon, did you think that was a draw?
Yes, I was happy with the draw. I was actually upset with my man F.A. Ajaba because why did it take you until the 5th round until you got cornered on the ropes and got pounded on to decide, oh, maybe I ought to box this guy? Come on, man. You got to have a better IQ than that, Ajaba. You can't fight with that dude. That dude hits like a Mack truck. You stand in front of that dude too long, he gonna knock you out. You know, he could have won the fight, but he's waited too long to start boxing, in my opinion. Wilton, what did you see?
I saw the fight around the 4th, 5th round, and Bakole it was either 4th or 5th. He had a good round, but they were saying that he was down. I went back when I saw the earlier rounds. Ajaba was nailing him early. It seemed like it was taking Bakole a little time to get warmed up and get back adjusted after the knockout loss. But once he did, he started landing some of those shots. It's kind of sloppy, though. He was a little sloppy yesterday. Based on what I saw, it was a close fight. So I can understand a draw. Or if anybody I would have favored Ajaba. But a draw seemed like it was a good call. And so Ian says he had money on Ajaba, the winner of the fight. After the fight, then all of a sudden they're spamming or saying it's a draw before they even got to the scorecards. Yeah, I saw that too. Now I think they're gonna do a rematch. I'm gonna tell you what I don't like though. And you can be nice, right? I just think Bakole, as nice as he is, he shouldn't project that niceness on camera, because it's hard to be a boogeyman and be like a nice, fuzzy, warm bear too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he's just a good guy, you know, over there, you know, being so warm and cordial to a job.
But what you got to remember, Wilton, is that, you know, in where he comes from in his culture, he's a sportsman. It's sport to him. He doesn't take it personal. He's not like the Tanks and the Charlos and the rah and I'm gonna beat your ass and you ain't. He's not into that.
No,
he's
I mean, he don't have.
He's
a
sportsman. They're sportsmen. That's why he has such a good attitude, because it's a sport to him. And once it's over, it's over. There is no hard feelings. He doesn't have no problem with his brother Ajaba from Nigeria, and he's from the Congo. He ain't got no problem with him. Yeah, I'm gonna beat you up if you get in this ring with me. But after that, we can go have a beer. We can hang out because we brothers. We love each other, as the man said in the post-fight interview.
All right. Do you mind if I talk, sir? Do you mind if I share? I was just gonna say this. It's see, some things is called marketing, and not necessarily. You don't have to have any ill will towards the guy. I'm just saying, as far as the perception that people had of Bakole, that he was supposed to be this boogeyman, quote unquote. And so for you to see this chummy guy on screen, I don't necessarily know if that would help him as far as like just from a marketing standpoint. As far as who he is as a person, I'm not telling him not to be who he is as a person. If you're a sportsman and you know that's the way you see it, you know, more power to you. But I was just saying, as far from a marketing standpoint, when I see that, I'm like, dang, is he really gonna get any new people supporting him and looking and checking for him?
I mean, if he play it right, they can. I mean, like with George Foreman. George Foreman, when he came back in his second half of his career, he was the big old teddy bear, but still he wasn't playing that ring. He was marketable enough to sell, you know, George Foreman grills. But as Michael Moore found out, that power is still real.
Can I ask you a question, sir? Are we comparing?
No, what I was gonna say before you go back to what I was gonna say is, Joseph Parker has already proved to you that he ain't no boogeyman. So we can get that out the way.
Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I'm just saying that that's how they were marketing him, as the boogeyman. And with some guys, it would be in their best interest to market yourself a certain way, you know, in order to you know, draw more attention. And as far as George Foreman, their careers aren't even the same. George Foreman was a menacing guy initially, and he remarketed himself as the chubby guy. So that's a little bit different. Right. That's marketing, you know.
Right. Right. But the problem is, unless Bakole, the problem with your logic is only this: unless Bakole knocks out Usyk or Dubois, ain't nobody checking for him anyway. Nobody cares about him beating up every. Nobody cares. Look, well, let's just be honest. Nobody gives two shits about him beating up Efe Ajaba. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right. That may be true. But at the same time, do you just
funny though, him beating Aaron Anderson up?
So
yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
So if I can chime in, I'm just saying based on my perspective, and you more than welcome to have your thoughts. But what I'm saying is, I just never think in life that you just give up and think, well, nobody cares, so let me just you always constantly working on something in order to make things better for yourself. So what if you get an opportunity to face somebody and it propels you into a matchup with somebody that will enable you to get a belt or two or even all of the belts? And then you want to be able to market yourself as best you can in order to reap the benefits of that. You never know. So the fact that I gave up and now I'm just this person nobody wants to see, even if I did put myself in a position, no, I want to always be just because I want to be ready and stay ready so I don't have to get ready, is what I'm saying. Coley got to go. 2 words, boxing cards. 2 words, boxing cards and ages. All boxing distance fights. So another disgruntled customer. All right, as far as the detailed punch stats, Ajaba landed 190 out of 451 punches. Bakole landed 145 out of 460. So he threw a little bit more active, but Ajaba was a little bit more accurate. Jabs, Ajaba threw 106 jabs, Bakole to 63. Not much of a jabber, Bakole. Power punches, Ajaba landed 84 to Bakole's 82. And that's the reason why the fight was so close. Ajaba had 106 to 63 edge and jabs. Bakole landed more punches in the second half of the fight, particularly in the 4th round. Yeah, that's the fight. That's the round that I saw. Fight ended in the draw, and he had 96-94 for Ajaba, and 2 judges had a 95-95. All right, so it looks like they're on the collision course for a rematch, though. I expect.
So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you and Vail a question. I want both of your perspectives on this. I want to know: did Devin Haney do more damage to his career with that performance?
No, he won. Move forward.
I don't think how much more damage he could do to his career. I think no. I mean, he didn't help his career, but he could have hurt
Not
it
at all.
more. He
Not at all.
More. Yeah, but he could have hurt it more if he lost.
Yeah, he didn't lose like Ryan did. Yeah. Ryan lost. So I don't even know what to say about it. Like I said earlier, I'm just happy for Big Rolo. Big Rolo. You've been telling me about Rolo, Wilton. You've been telling me about Big Rolo.
No, Rolly's still he's still the same. Like it's no different. The thing is, the perception of him is going to be different. But you put him in there with somebody who actually can fight, he's going to be the same result. He's going to get whitewashed. Rolly is not a top level guy in no way, stretch form of anybody's imagination. But as far as Devin Haney, no, he did himself. Again, I respected what I saw from Devin Haney. You went in there, you listened to your corner, you came out of there unscathed. You fought a former 2-time champion, and you, after being in a fight against somebody who was on PEDs, you see how much PEDs have an effect on a fighter because you saw what he looked like April 20th of last year, May 2nd of this year when he fights. The dude doesn't even look the same. He doesn't sound the same. Doesn't have the same temperament. Doesn't have the same physique. Doesn't have the same power. Doesn't have the same energy. But I fought the other guy version of him who was on that. Now my thing is, dude, you are so easily accepting this loss to Rolly Romero, but you couldn't put yourself in a situation to fight Devin Haney like fairly. Like you had to do that, the fight against that young man. You had to take those performance enhancing drugs. Like that's how afraid you were entering into that fight that you had to do that. Like you have to resort to taking performance enhancing drugs. To me, that's pathetic. Man.
Well, look what you saw. Look what you saw Friday. Look what you saw Friday. Rolly hit him with a double left hook, and it took all the fight out of that dude. He did not want to fight anymore after the second round. He was afraid of Rolly. That was crazy to me.
Rolly
that was crazy to me.
Rolly gained bases voice after that win. It went from end to end.
But look, Wilton, you're right. And you know what's sad, Wilton? You know what's really sad is you're probably going to be one of the only few content creators to call that out. Because now you can't deny it. Look how he looked against Haney, and look how he looked against Rolly. Now I'm not, I'm kind of critical on Haney sometimes with the holding and hitting the Klitschko method. I'm critical of that sometimes, I will admit. But there is no world or no planet in any universe where Rolly Romero is a better fighter than Devin Haney. Nowhere.
Nowhere. I disagrees with you. I agree. I think Devin Haney would beat up Rolly, but
wash Rolly. He would wash Rolly.
I don't think Inoue here agrees with us. So.
There's no planet where Rolly Romero is a better fighter than Devin Haney. And you can see that, like Wilton said, you can see the difference between that Ryan and the Ryan we saw Friday night. That's all I'm saying.
No, I was trying to look and see. They used to have the sparring session with Devin Haney and Rolly Romero, and Devin Haney was clowning him. Like it was just like it was like a child going against an adult. He was playing with him so much. That's the reason why, to me, Rolly isn't pressing for a Devin fight, because he, just like he had success against Ryan in sparring, it's the same. It was even worse. Like Devin Haney was styling us, that they took down the training or the sparring that they had, PEDs to fight against Haney, then fights Rolly without PEDs and gets dropped. That's crazy, right? And then Ian also says Haney easily beats Rolly in a decision, but I sprinkle a bit on Rolly KO, like a little money. No, I mean, that makes sense, because the odds of it is not going to be there. I put a little bit of money on Rolly. Like once I saw like how Ryan looked in that first round, then I put a quick 20 on Rolly. And then the payout got real high, like that fast, like after he knocked him down. And so I didn't know whether or not he was still going to be able to keep it up, but it just made sense to do it because the odds were so wide. So I was like, let me go ahead and cash in. Like yesterday, I cashed in on that Clippers game. I'm looking at, I said, James Harden, game 7. Man, let me put a quick 50 on that. You know what I'm saying?
but
Rolly did exactly what you said. They beat the brakes, rotors, and shoes off of the Clippers.
Yeah, what's going on? And Harden always in game 7, he do the same thing. It's a clip of this dude who was a commentator. He broke down James Harden's whole career, and then he was like, man, it's like a roommate, like dudes who have different roommates, and it's always their roommate fault. And then, but dude, you gotta look in the mirror sometime and be like, damn, that's like 3 or 4 different roommates. Is it them or is it me? You know what I'm saying? So he talked about him playing with the Nets. He talked about him playing with Philly. He talked about him playing with, like, throughout his whole Houston, when he got rid of dudes and all of that type of stuff. And then after he dropped the mic, like, it was so cold what he was saying about Harden, but like 2 or 3 days later, dude got fired. But then they replayed it and everything made sense. Like, they need to rehire that man. You know what I'm saying?
I will say about Rolly and Garcia, their sparring session is probably more entertaining than the actual fight.
Probably would. But again, you can't leave out the man. That's PED-less Ryan Garcia.
I don't know if Garcia was juicing when he had that sparring session. Maybe he was. I don't know.
I don't know what he was doing. But again, if it's just like Margarito, when he fought and got caught with the raps against Shane Mosley, when you backtrack his career, it's like, dang, man, I remember he fought this dude and he busted this dude up. He busted that dude up. And then you look at when he fought Cotto, and you like, Cotto's face is all disfigured. They don't look like no regular hands. You know what I'm saying? So I would have to think that he just got caught this time. It ain't like this the first time he did it. So with Ryan Garcia, with that, is that the first time? And they fought in New York. Remember, he was trying to get them to fight in Las Vegas, where they aren't as strict as they are in New York when it comes to the PEDs. It may be somebody, he might be able to grease somebody's palms in Las Vegas that you know, in order to let your test results, go the way you want them to go. I don't know. But at the same time, like I said, if it's not like somebody, he just so happened to get caught that time. And he, what's come said that whipping left hand that he hit Francisco with, that caused alarm from a lot of people. I remember Paulie Malignaggi was mentioning. He said, "Man, that dude right there is a rugged guy. Like he's very durable." And not just to see him in the way his legs and stuff like that was shaking. It's like, man, dude, you would allegedly think that that's when he possibly had started. He said, "Bro, Scull didn't do enough to win." Or I don't know. He said Canelo lost. Come on.
Said Canelo lost.
Yeah, get out of here, man. No, you can stay, but I'm just saying we understand it. It's trying to be funny. Everything about Ryan Garcia.
Scull didn't do enough to get paid, in my opinion. Scull didn't even do enough to get paid, in my opinion.
Scull was over there celebrating. See, these dudes don't belong in a ring with Canelo, and then they end up lasting, and they think that they did something spectacular, like Berlanga last time.
I won the lottery, yay!
Did you hear his corner? Hey, Val, did you hear his corner? They were telling that man that he was winning the fight.
I didn't see it.
They was telling that man he was winning the fight. Well, I know you heard that. His corner man was telling him he was ahead. He's doing great.
Yeah, I ain't even had I ain't had the volume. But Ian says everything about Ryan was different. Thank you, sir, for pointing this out. In the build up to the Haney fight versus Rolly fight, he was acting insane. Yep, he was going off them PEDs. Voice was different, and all of a sudden he's just chill out. That's what I'm saying. Going into the fight, he was this calm, cool, reserved guy, and it's like, man, I'm gonna tell you, I when I go like yesterday, I ran 3 miles. I hit the weights heavy. I'm hitting the 120s, like they got the dumbbells. So I do those on the chest. I can't do that every day, but I tell you what, when I had that lid up in me, I had a can of that lid. Busy, you know what I'm saying? Then I went to the party, and then I had my little shirt on, you know what I'm saying? But, ladies like trying to, get a little extra touch on there, you know what I'm saying? But that's only because I had that lid. I can't do that without the lid. I can just imagine you got some Ostarine or something like that in your system. You're gonna be cocky, arrogant.
What kind of lit, man? What is lit? Is that pre-workout?
Man, don't worry about all that, man.
That's that pre-workout. He's talking about that GNC pre-workout, them legal steroids, bro. Them legal steroids. You know GNC's be selling steroids. You know that.
That's all legal.
Yeah.
Roy was taking some of that stuff too, though. Remember, Roy got caught with the some type of Mm-hmm. But anyway,
but I ain't mad at you, Val. You on that creatine heavy? Wilton, you on that creatine heavy? That's what you're trying to tell me?
No, I am not. Creatine mess up your liver, man. You got
how you with a gut too? How you with a whole gut?
I was out there in Philly yesterday. I was gonna take the rest of what was in the little bottle. Let me see. Who had a little bottle?
I gotta give me some all naturals. I gotta go back to the herbalist and get me some all natural stuff, man, to boost my energy, get my workouts back right. I'm getting older, man. I need a little help.
Oh man, I gotta get
60 years old and all this. I need a little help.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we all do. What you said? What is in the little bottle? He's talking about a little bottle of that. That's that Panama Lewis. Panama Lewis used to have the bottle.
The one I mixed. Yeah. No, give me the other bottle. The one I mixed.
Yeah, man. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe. If you haven't done so. These allergies are kicking my butt, man. So tonight. So it's not gonna end just yet, man. So the weekend.
Oh, we got Monster. We got Monster tonight, huh?
Mm-hmm. So the fight should take place over here. It's gonna be about 9 or 10 o'clock. So for you, it's gonna be about 6 or 7 o'clock out there in the California area.
Yes, sir.
But speaking of that, man, you got the
gonna be on them roids again.
Yeah, he's 29-0. He's got 26 KOs, 32 years of age, 5'5", 67.5-inch reach. Coming off the Ye Jong Kim fight where he won in a 4th round KO. He also defeated Haney and Louis Neary in his last 3 fights. He's going to be fighting Roman Cardinas, who's 26-1 with 14 KOs. They call him Dominita. He's 29 years of age, also 5'9", not a tall fella, 67-inch reach out of San Antonio. Out there where my boy Bam resides out of. He's coming off a win against Brian Acosta. He won a 10-round unanimous decision. Also beat Jose Ramirez Rubio by 9th round TKO, and Israel Rodriguez Picasso in his last 3 fights. That was a 6th-round win. And all right, so now with that being said, Bill, we're gonna start with you, man. What do you think is gonna happen in this fight? Also, you wanted to break the news that MJ and Inoue is also set as well.
Yeah, if Inoue wins this fight, then that sets up the fight with MJ. I believe it's in September, something like that. So that's one of the fights that we've been waiting to see for a while. And goodness gracious, Inoue, man, I was about to start tearing Inoue up, man, for picking these type of fights. Mm-hmm. Almost to a point where I was going to hope that Cardinas upset him. But since that MJ fight is in the horizon, hopefully he get Cardinas out of there. You know, but watching some clips of Cardinas, I think Cardinas has some good tools. He works off the jab. He's kind of a come forward fighter, but he does set the shots up. He goes to the body well. I think he is talented, but looking at his resume and looking at who he's fought, I don't think he's can compete with someone that is as talented and explosive as Inoue. It's almost like he's like if Inoue is like an A fighter, Cardinas is like the C version. I mean, he has great tools, but just not on that level. But he'd be tough for anybody else. But since I've been, wrong this whole weekend about exciting fights, and this fight is almost guaranteed to be an exciting fight, you know what? I predict a boring fight where Inoue wins a decision over Ramon Cardinas. So boring fight. Then people think MJ will probably beat Inoue. They say Inoue slipped, but Inoue wins a boring fight over Ramon Cardinas. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I don't see that. I can't see Inoue in a boring fight. But Isaiah W, what you're doing, said Cardinas doesn't have a chance. So cut the cap, man. And Isaiah, man, shout out to you and Edward, man. If y'all can hit that sub button too. We got 4 new subs on this app right here. But what do you think, Sheldon?
Inoue gonna beat this dude in like 6 rounds. I've never heard of this cat, Mr. Cardinas, but he's in for a beating. It's gonna be quick and painful. I was gonna say painless, but it's gonna be quick and painful. I want to see Inoue and MJ. And we've been talking about that fight. They've been talking about that fight for like 4 or 5 years. So let's get that on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you will, and that's what's gonna happen next. See, Cardinas, I like the little fella. I just think he's just overmatched. He's in over his head. Some fights you see he catches guys with his left hand, and he drops them. I don't know if that's just based on the level of opposition, but in some fights I see him, he doesn't look like he has much power. And based on what I see, I just think that that's going to be the biggest factor. And Inoue is just one of those guys who he just has some professional stuff that he does, some A-level offensive skills, like the left hook, the right hand. He's a dynamo when it comes to the offense. And when his antennas are up, he can be kind of tough to hit defensively as well. It's just going to be the firepower. He just has too much firepower. It's like somebody who has an Uzi and somebody got a 22. And you got to go with the person who has the Uzi over the 22, unless that person with the 22 is a sniper. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's going to be the case. So I got a new way. I want to say about maybe 5th, 6th round, he's going to catch him with some stuff. But it's not going to be a boring fight because this guy right here, I guarantee you, coming out of San Antonio, he hasn't he's tasted defeat before, but it seems like the guys from San Antonio, the Jesse James Lehigh, the Bam Rodriguez, like dudes that come from there, it's not like they run. You know what I'm saying? They always are guys who come to fight. It's just he's gonna be in over his head, and hopefully for the kid that he can utilize this experience and it can make him better in the future. But I don't think he's gonna be successful today. I don't want to see Inoue fight anyone other than Nakatani. No, MJ. You want to see that MJ fight, and MJ fight might be even more competitive than the Nakatani fight because Nakatani is gonna be coming up in weight. But yeah, anything else you guys have on that monster? What do y'all rate the guy as far as pound for pound?
What, Inoue?
Yes, sir.
I mean, he's not gonna be any lower than 3, so I put him around maybe 2.
Who was number 1?
Usyk probably. Usyk.
Usyk,
Terence Crawford, and Inoue are like 1A, 1B, and 1C to me.
No, to me, Usyk got to be number 1. Like at this point, you know what I'm saying? Like the level of opposition, beating Fury twice.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he got it. I think it's resume.
I got it 4.
All right, so who else you have up there?
I got Usyk number 1. I got Bud number 2. I got Bivol number 3, and then I got Inoue.
Okay. So what is it about Bivol that you got him at number 3 over at Inoue?
Yes, I do.
Come on, talk to me. What's your rationale?
I cannot name anybody that Inoue beat except for Stephen Fulton. I don't know any of those other dudes. Any of them. I knew Luis Neary. I give you that one. I knew Luis Neary. That's 2 dudes. Resting dudes. I never heard of them, and you never heard of them.
Who's the other dude? Let me look at his resume right quick. I know one of these dudes I knew of.
My bad. Oh, my boy is in the building. I tried to hit the button, and then I ended up.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, man.
Let's go get
I was telling Bill the reason I got Inoue number 4 under Bibble is because only know 2 dudes that Inoue fought. He beat Fulton and he beat Neary. The rest of the dudes, I never heard of them, and you never heard of them.
Okay, my main man in the comments brought up Donaire.
He did beat Nolito. Okay. But Nolito was in his 50s when they fought, right?
Yeah, I don't like this guy, but I did know who Jason Maloney was.
I don't know who the fuck that is. Have no idea who that is.
Shout out to Isaiah. He says Inoue saving the weekend with a knockout, and he's probably at least 5 for me. I got you, though, good brother. You that's some accurate information that you sent. Inoue, okay, he said that already. 40-year-old Donaire, Rocco McBride says. Rocco, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We got our guy on here, man. Shogun, what you been up to, good brother? Shogun, you with us? I'm gonna go ahead and try to put this presentation. Shogun knows boxing.
Yeah.
If you can get now, we can hear you a little bit. It's a little sketchy though.
Oh shit! Oh, so my bad.
You're a lot better now. Yeah, right now.
Yeah, I'm disappointed, man. I mean, I'm not a Canelo fan. I think he's been cherry picking since losing to Bivol. And the sad thing is, he can't even take these guys out, and they're all handpicked opponents. And the funny thing is, leading up to the fight, they said, "Hey, what do you think about the size difference?" And he's like, I don't care how big they are. I don't care how. But when it comes to Benavidez, he cares. He says all he brings is 20 extra pounds. And after the fight, he's like, I don't like guys who move, and I like guys who punch a lot. Well, that's David Benavidez. So, man, I've been telling people for a long time, man, that Canelo, I don't know if he's shot, but he's just his fans are the worst, bro. They have become the new hyper, toxic fans in boxing, bro. Like they're just in denial. But and then I don't agree with y'all saying that Teo put a good fight on. I didn't like it, bro.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily saying it was all that great. he won convincingly. And the thing is with Teo, the expectations for Teo aren't high anymore because he gives you so many performances that are less than stellar. So when he gives you something where it's like a clean cut victory, then it appears to be greater than actually what it was, I think.
Yeah, but the reason I didn't like it is he's toying with the guy. He's making a miss, and all he does is pot shot. He doesn't work behind a jab. He doesn't set up a knockout or try to break a guy down. He was just kind of dancing around, moving. I'm showing really crazy athleticism. I get it, but like contrast that with the guy like Boots, who he wants to fight. Boots will break you down. Boots works the body. He jabs. You know, he works off the jab. Like the last fight, the last fight Boots had, they thought it was going to be a tough fight. The dude broke him down like systematically. All Teo did was hop around like a rabbit, pot shot here and there, and then just go the distance with a guy he was head and shoulders above. And that's what I don't like to see. That's all he can do. He doesn't know how to box.
No, yeah, that's Teo's thing, right? And the more it seems like he hasn't had a knockout in a while. That's why I was wondering. I want to say it was the forgot the guy's name. But it was
Richard Comey.
No, sir. Let me make the point. The first fight that he had, Campa, was the last knockout that he had. And so at 140, it just doesn't seem like he has the same pop that he had at 135. But also, they put him in with a lot more movers at 140 than they did at 135 as well. But he just doesn't seem like he's hitting like that. But here's the thing. I think him and Boots are about the same when it comes to performances. Boots gave us some performance that we were scratching our head prior to the Stanionis fight. Stanionis fight, he looked good. But before that, like I said, I remember people saying, man, that dude's not Boots. That's Sandals Ennis. He not, they would call him all type of names. And so is this dude, the Mike Jones, who used to fight at 147? You know what I'm saying? Like, they were saying a lot of derogatory things about Boots. Look great. I have to see Boots one more time look like that for me to get back on the Boots bandwagon, because Stanionis in that fight, he had been on the shelf for so long. Like he like 2 fights in like 5-6 years. Like that's crazy. So that's the thing. I got to see him one more time give me a good performance like that. Then I'll be like, okay, Boots is that dude, But yeah, what did you think about Ryan and Rolly? Just the whole overall Friday's card,
That was such a farce, bro. I went out I like going out watching the sports bars, watching around because I always gauge it by watching it around a bunch of casuals, and that's how I grade the these events, because if they enjoyed it, I'm like, all right, we got some good things going. That was a good night for boxing. But bro, and not only that, it was early. It was like super early. So even the people at the sports bar, they were like, yo, this is the prelims. I'm like, no, this is the main card. And they were like, what? And it was just a disappointment, man. I mean, Ryan, I think the power is what got Ryan. I mean, out of all 3 guys, Ryan, Rolly, and Haney, they all bulked up and now they're bigger weights. I think the guy who put on the weight the best was Rolly. They kept talking about his back and how big his back was, and they were right, because this dude he's always had pop, but I think he carried his power. With Ryan, I think once he got hit and got that power, then that was it. And I couldn't believe Devin Haney, bro. Like, he bulked up to 165 to run all night versus a shot fighter. Like, bro, this guy's broken, man. Like, this dude, like, I don't want to see the rematch. I'm actually kind of glad that they lost, or that Ryan lost, because like I just and if he's gonna run that much versus a guy like Ramirez, how is he gonna do versus guys with real power and that are in their prime?
So here's the thing, though. It's a couple of things that's going through my mind as you speak. First off, they've watered the sport down so bad that you can't really get true, meaningful pay-per-views like you had before. Like, I remember, it's a different world out here in like the DC area. But again, how we met, myself, Vail, and Danny, was a Canelo pay-per-view. I think it was Liam Smith that day. But Canelo fought more better opposition, so you gave him a pass more. So then when he would take a Liam Smith or somebody like that in the interim before he fights somebody big. But I'm saying that to say I remember going to like different places to go see Floyd fight or go see Manny Pacquiao against Ricky Hatton, going to go see like a Roy Jones or somebody like that. And you talk about like the crowd or like a Castillo and Corrales, you know what I'm saying? Like those fights right there, you're gonna have people hooked to the sport because either the dudes are so talented or they are going after each other. You know what I'm saying? Like it's never a dull moment. It's like, oh, you know, then you'll hear the crowd in there. They trying to eat their food and drink the drinks, but they sitting up there. They so excited and hyped that I couldn't even imagine being at this one right here at a sports bar. I feel bad, like the lack of punching and things like that for a sports bar. I would have been like disappointed. But now, as far as Devin Haney, see again. When for instance, when Anthony Joshua, when he came back from losing to Ruiz, even in his fight that he had against Ruiz, he wasn't even punching that much. He was moving around the ring. This big 245-pound man was scared to get hit by Ruiz because this is the fight immediately after getting knocked out. After he ended up losing against whoever it is he lost to the next time, and he was fighting against Jermaine Franklin or whatever the dude name was, he wasn't even trying to engage. So I give Devin Haney a pass for getting into the ring a year after. Not only are you coming in rusty, you're coming in kind of not, you're going to be nervous because I was getting hit a lot by a guy on PEDs. I'm fighting against a two-time former champion. I just want to come up out of this fight right here unscathed. I want to get my win, and then we can build up off of that once I begin to develop a little bit more and more confidence. I've seen that a lot of times in people's careers after they've taken a devastating type of fight, win or loss. And so they just trying to get the cobwebs off, trying to get back into the swing of things, trying to build confidence, listening to my corner, and coming out where I'm not on my pockets. So again, that's the reason why I'm not. But what I was more disappointed in is the announcers. 15 seconds to the fight. No, you got to step to him, man. Go ahead and hit him with this shot. Go ahead, get inside the. No, sir. That's immediately what's going to lead to what happened on April 20th of last year. And the other thing, and I don't want to be long-winded, but the other thing too, the reason why I was happy for Devin is he didn't give in to trying to please anybody. Okay, I got my win and whatever, because they're gonna complain anyway. If he would have went in there and whooped on his opponent Ramirez, they were just gonna say he was old. Yeah, it didn't make any difference anyway. Only thing I can do is go in there and get clipped and look bad, like, and then get more ridiculed. But anyway, I'm gonna turn it over to you, sir. I was talking too much.
No, I mean, I get it, but I mean, not for 12 rounds of straight moving like that. I mean, he was running like literally for 12 rounds. It was crazy. I'm like, all right, man, like you got some cobwebs off, and Ramirez was there for the taking. Ramirez hasn't had a good win like in 6 years. Last good win he had was Maurice Hooker, and that was back in what, 19? It's Ramirez is shot to pieces, and like seeing him run like that versus and Ramirez is not a power puncher neither, so it's like you bulked up that much and you're going to take on a guy whose career was at the lighter weights. And I mean, you got to handle business. You got to take those guys out. I mean, they have set up opponents for a reason. You know, it's how you win matters. But one thing I think the jig is up with him where like he's not going to, because his whole MO is coming in, weaponizing the whole, using a 36-hour weigh-in to come in like huge versus guys like Loma and all those other guys. Or versus Prograde, which was small and old, both, you know. So I think the jig is up, man. He has no power. I think imagine him versus Boots like that. There would be a slaughter, man. And it's like,
I thought
No,
about
no,
it too.
no. But before you mention, see, that's what I'm saying. You just, even with what you just said, you just diminished his Regis Prograis victory. So it's nothing he can do. Before
Well,
the Regis
I think a
Prograis
lot of
fight,
his, yeah. I mean, I think I always thought his career was a lot of smoke and mirrors. He was a guy that was always in the right place at the right time. I mean, the stars aligned for Devin Haney if you really think about it. Like, think about it. I
No,
believe.
I don't think that.
No.
that's what I'm saying,
Let me go
nothing
down
he
the
can
list.
do. That's why I say, like, go ahead and just do what you need to do in order to win, because you're just not gonna please people. Because some of the same
Credit to Bill. Credit to Bill. He's a hell of a manager, bro. But let me just go down the list. All right. They got a loss taken off in Mexico early on. I believe that. I truly believe that because of the way they move, the way they're entitled. But okay, so that happened. And then what else happens? You got yeah, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So Eddie is foolish when he starts in the American market. He doesn't know the market over here. So what does he do? He severely overpays him and Boo Boo when they really don't.
Boo-boo.
No, yo, Boo Boo
Oh,
got
yeah,
paid
yeah,
millions,
yeah,
bro.
you're
Both
right.
of them.
You're
But
right.
that's because Eddie was foolish when he had that big war chest of money. He just started overpaying guys, and Devin was one of them. And then what else happens? He gets
how did he overpay? How did he overpay?
no,
Devin?
highly over millions, bro. But and then okay, let's move on. So
How though? I'm asking,
then
like, how was he overpaid? Like, you just keep saying that,
no,
but you're
well
not
him
giving me.
and Boo Boo were getting like crazy
No, I'm
guarantees. I
not. I'm
mean,
not talking about Boo Boo. I'm talking about because Devin Haney is more accomplished than Boo Boo.
yeah, but
He's a
he wasn't accomplished yet. This was when he was still coming up, and he was already getting like 6-figure paydays. It was crazy. So and then that happens. All right, okay, and then what happens next? Okay, he gets his hands on Loma. Props for him for fighting Loma, but he got a gift draw. He
Hey,
lost that.
you skipped a whole bunch of stuff, man. Like
No, wait. Okay,
you
no,
skipped Cambosas, you skipped him being
no.
dunked by
I'm getting to
Tank.
that. I'm getting to that. I'm
Okay, all
getting to
right.
that. I'm getting to that. So okay, so he gets overpaid by Eddie because Eddie doesn't know the Western market. 2, he gets a gift decision versus Loma. 3, he gets an email belt after that. And then what happens the next time? Like he gets a shot at undisputed versus the weakest undisputed champion we've ever seen in boxing. But that's Teo's fault because Teo shit the bed versus Cambosis. And so of course Devin's gonna jump at the opportunity because Cambosis is really like a B-level fighter or C-level fighter. So like he gets that, and so like he's always at the right place at the right time. He gets the loss taken off of Ryan, and that's cool. He tries to sue him for battery, but that was kind of weak, and that goes to their mentality, the way they move. I'm gonna sue you for battery, and also when he goes at
So the man wasn't on PEDs, so he wasn't fighting somebody on PEDs.
I mean, but he
Did Ryan Garcia look the same as he did on the other day? He looked
I
like
think he did. I don't think there was much of a difference. I just think
it was different.
no, because he was just as big.
That's what I'm saying. Like Devin might as well not. He might as well just do him because everything that you're saying is going to be your perspective that you have for whatever reason is going to be deemed in a negative way towards him. We don't factor in that he fought somebody that was on PEDs.
Well,
He couldn't hit them, but he was hitting.
Yeah, I hear you. He got popped, but I mean, Devin also like he was a weight bully. He weaponized the 36-hour weigh-in versus the lighter weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so is that illegal? Or
I mean, who, when it comes to snack, who knows, bro? Like I think in boxing, unless you're like 365 testing, everybody's under suspicion, bro.
But who's 365 test though? Hold on. Who's 365 test though?
Nobody.
I've been waiting patiently. Can I just say one?
Go ahead, Will. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead, brother.
Because he keeps the things that you're saying are not factual. You just assume. Like, for instance, I think that he got the loss taken off his record. You don't know. I think that he, was snacked in those things. But with Ryan Garcia, he tested positive. It's not like I think. I know because he got suspended. So that's a fact. So the only thing we can go
it's just
on
the way they move. That's why. I mean, even the whole thing, his character shows. Even when he went at Eddie Hearn, like trying to drag him through the mud. I mean, if you think about it, if you're a businessman and you got a client that's not, they're not, you're not going to invest in a client that's not going to put forth like a commitment to you. So he didn't put a commitment towards the zone or Eddie. So, and then he gets pissed off and tries to blame Eddie for not bidding on the fight versus Sandro Martin, which, like, bro, like, why are you mad at him? You didn't
Because
sign.
he has a right to he
you
has a right
didn't.
to be upset with him for that. Also, you're talking about after the Ryan Garcia fight when
Yeah,
Ryan
I'm
Garcia.
just saying the character of Bill Haney
What I'm saying,
and himself.
I'm asking a question so we can get to what it is that you're talking about. It's one thing at a time. You're saying that the fact that he's upset shows character when he's taking a huge pay cut that he had never taken before. So when Bud Crawford leaves Top Rank because of the fact that he has issues with them, did that say anything about Bud's character? No, that's how he felt, and that's how he decided to resolve the situation. They're grown men. People are going to do things differently. That's their business, and that is business. But as far as Devin Haney, again, the other thing that you're missing is all of this time that he was at 135 pounds, he was calling Tank Davis out. We can pull up the interviews where either Tank was saying he wasn't going to fight Devin because of this or because of that. You had Ellerby saying that you need to let the fight marinate, that he wasn't ready. He needs to have something to bring to the table. He gets all of the belts, and then it's still an issue where he's not trying to fight Devin Haney. Then Devin Haney moves to another division. So you missing a whole bunch of stuff where you're saying that
I agree with you. I agree with you. Devin
did what he could do in those situations when a dude wouldn't want to fight him.
No, but I agree with you. Devin, he has balls. He wants the fights. I won't deny that. Like, Tank didn't want to fight him. He went and fought Loma. He went and fought. He wanted to fight all these guys. But what I'm saying is, like, his character. Like, when he got pissed off at Eddie. Okay, you didn't re-sign with Eddie. So why are you getting mad at Eddie when he didn't he didn't do anything on a purse bid? You expect him to bid on your fight when you don't want to sign a contract with him? And then he tries to turn the blame to Eddie, like, bro, that's on you. And then he gets mad because Eddie didn't give him a ticket. Because I'm like, bro, like these guys are so like him, Tank,
they're not even
Shakur,
they're not even
Ryan,
the same guy,
Teo. All these guys are just these new wave American fighters are horrible, man. They're brats, and I feel bad for Turkey. And what my fear is, Turkey's great for boxing, and I'm like, I called it a while ago, like, yo, these fighters like this are gonna drive Turkey away.
Turkey. You think the Turkey that just put this card on is great for boxing?
No, let's stay focused on it because he's going down the road. So again, I'm gonna finish with this as far as Devin Haney's concerned. It's the same things that people. It's like they jump on him. Like I say, out the gate, like this past fight, 15 seconds in the fight, I'm looking at Antonio Tarver talking about you need to engage with the guy. You need to go and step to him. 15 seconds into the fight, sir. Like, that's what you're saying. So they jumped on the bandwagon of having this negative energy towards him. It's nothing that the young man can do. Even in the Ryan situation, more people was pointing the finger at Devin Haney for fighting somebody on steroids as opposed to pointing the finger at the actual guy who committed the act. And even in this fight, no, let me finish, sir. I didn't say anything while you were talking. Even in this fight, they gave Ryan Garcia all types of excuses for the loss that he had. Oh, was it training? Like, what? Nobody ever mentioned the fact that, well, you may have not felt right this fight because it was something missing in your system that you had in your system last fight. Nobody ever mentioned it. As far as Devin Haney is concerned, you can easily flip this to being that this guy is the most commendable guy in the sport of boxing. You fight somebody on PEDs, did he quit in the fight? No, he did not. He kept coming back in order to try to get the get back from the guy who was dropping him, who was on Ostrin. So that right there is showing like a warrior's heart, a warrior spirit. Most people, if they were doing that, that would be glorified, but not him. But somehow, some way, and then he's wrong. If people are saying, oh, he'll never be the same after this fight. He comes into the next fight, he isn't really the same as he was before. He's getting blamed for that. And then on top of that, I can't like get my money back. You telling me that I'm not the same, but if I try to sue and get the money that I should be compensated, because if I was fighting that same Ryan Garcia that Rolly fought, then I would have whooped him just like Rolly did. It probably easier than Rolly.
Nah, he doesn't. He didn't have the power. I don't think he beats Ryan either way.
He don't need power to fight that dude that he fought the other day.
Like Ryan. Look, I don't like Ryan. He got caught, whatever. But I think that was more of a style thing because 20 seconds into the fight, he gets cracked. I just think
And the
his
style,
career.
it's more so the style, a dude who's up there looking like a swimmer, and who's the guy, whoever that was in the chat.
I just wouldn't die on the Devin Haney hill because I just don't think the kid's the goods. I think he's had a manufactured career, and I just think the jig is up. He's not going to be able to outweigh these guys the way he did at the lighter weights. Now he's going to fight guys that are his size and bigger. And if I'm sorry, like Ramirez is shot like to pieces, bro. Like if he and I understand what you're saying. Like it's unfair to say, hey, 15 seconds into the fight, you need to go at him. Okay, I get that and I agree. But what about round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6, round 7, round 8, round 9, round 10?
Joshua, I saw Anthony Joshua fight against Juan Ruiz in the second fight. He never committed. Nobody said anything. They were happy that he ended up winning the championship. I saw Anthony Joshua fight against Jermaine Franklin. He never committed in that fight. Nobody said anything outside of he's trying to get himself back together.
Yeah, but that's heavyweights, bro. Heavyweights, anything can change.
What else? Anything else you see this past weekend? Because again, everything that you say is just going to have a negative connotation towards Devin Haney for whatever reason.
I just don't think he's the goods, bro. I just don't. But
can I ask you a question there?
He's boring. Who
has a better resume than Devin Haney? Around that.
I mean, yeah, he's probably got a good resume. I'm not arguing that, but and it's just he's a boring fighter, bro.
Who do you like? Who's your favorite fighter?
My favorite fighter right now? Let's see. I try not to have too many favorites until they retire. But like right now, I like Inoue. I like Bam. Why I like
somebody
Bam because I know
who's his best man?
What's that?
Who's his best? Well, let me go ahead and get some of these. I see some other people on here.
Well, I like Bam. I like Inoue. I like Usyk. I like Beterbiev. I like I don't like Canelo. You know what I mean? So but he's boring, bro. Like I'm saying if he fights that way versus Ramirez, he's not gonna fight. But I put it on him, but I also put it on Turkey in a way. I just said Turkey's good for boxing, and he is, but I also blame the whole. But so hear me out, because these guys are getting these paydays like forecasted. They had the commercial of Ryan versus Devin Haney rematch before the fights even started. So like them putting that out there is gonna put that in the back of Devin Haney's mind, where I don't want to risk the bag. I don't want to risk the bag, and I think it happens a lot too. And it also happened with Crawford, because Crawford says, I'm not taking another fight. I'm going to go inactive to the Canelo fight, almost 2 years of inactivity, because I don't want to risk it because he didn't look good at 154. So they're waiving these huge paydays ahead of these guys, and it's screwing up the game plans going into the fights they have in front of them.
Yeah, they're grown men, sir.
Well, I think you can say that easily for this, but let's be honest. There's nobody in the United States of America that picked Rolly to win this fight.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm glad he won, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm happy he won. You know, because Rolly gets picked on a lot.
But I didn't pick him.
Yeah,
and you didn't either.
No, I didn't. I was shocked, bro. I was shocked. But I think the difference was the power. You know, he felt the power early, and that changed his whole game plan. Like versus a guy like Devin. Devin doesn't have any power, so it's styles make fights. You know, that's just my.
Let's look at what Chirac Savage says. He is savage. He says, LOL, y'all have a racist fan on the channel.
Oh, why is it racist, bro? Come on.
Hey, what's going on, Ty? You in the building?
Salute, man. Great show, man. Great show, man.
I appreciate you, good fella, man. Well, talk to us, man. You said you want to chime in on something since we're at the end.
Yeah.
You want to come in and be the relief pitcher. You understand me?
Yeah, I just wanted to give my 1-2, man. Like, I was excited for, this weekend, but to me, it was a letdown. Both nights was a letdown to me. Now, I know Turkey tried to do something different, but I just feel like the seating, like, it didn't seem like it was a lot of seats. So it looked like a lot of people were standing. Now, all the fights pretty much went the distance. So all the people that, pretty much they had to stand up for a long time. So, I mean, I know he tried to do something different, but I just feel it was a letdown. So,
you know what, from a standpoint of like, I thought that was live though, to have that up in Times Square like that, just in case somebody walking past, you got like, dang, that go, a fight right there, a top ranked fight right there, smack dab in the middle of Manhattan. I thought that was cool. It was interesting how the guys had to come from their hotels and their cars and stuff like that to get into the ring. I wonder how much of a factor that played in like the early part of the fight and the dudes warming up and things of that nature. But I just thought it was a unique situation. It would have been better had the fights been a little bit more entertaining, but it did give a unique twist to an event like that. Well, what else though, Ty? I ain't mean to cut you off, but you just had me think about something when you said that.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I like how they pulled up in the cars. You know, that was different. I like that. A lot of people didn't. So I mean, I thought it was cool, but yeah, it was just a fights didn't live up. But I know you mentioned that, you know, you didn't expect it to live up to the hype like it should have. But like, I just felt like I said, I fell asleep on both nights. I fell asleep on the main event. Yeah, I fell asleep on Ryan and Rolly, and then I fell asleep before Canelo fight even happened. So I mean, it just wasn't an entertaining weekend. I mean, it's a great fight, but it wasn't entertaining. So
it wasn't. And see, I'm gonna tell you like this, and people, y'all fellas not gonna agree with me probably, but also, Steve, you can't have the commentating the way it was. They're so biased. They're so derogatory. Again, if you have like a UFC match, I might be seeing something that's not even that cold. But the way they talking about it got me excited. So everybody's going to be talking negatively about the event even more based on what it is that they say. And you selling me a bogus main event. I'm going to be honest. I don't call boxers bums or anything like that. I'm not going to start today. But what I will say is Ryan and Rolly, the headliners. And then on top of that, you keep hyping this Ryan Garcia dude up like he just didn't test positive for PEDs. Like it's like a thing on Twilight Zone to me.
So let me ask you a question, Will. Let me ask you a question. So what should have been a main event then?
The champions. One of the champions should have been the main event. That's who should have been the main event.
Okay. So would you spend thousands of dollars to be in the front row to see that main event? Would you be all right with how?
You still gonna get him on the card, right? If you saying like T.O. could have, I would have understood T.O. being the main event. I would have understood that being the main event.
Distance, and you just like sit there, you like, okay.
What do you mean? Listen, you're gonna get the same thing at the same. You're probably better off seeing Ryan Garcia early. But I don't get it, man. Because again, anytime this is what happens, bro. Is when, oh man, it's the Oak Cliff says T.O. Okay, I get you. Oak Cliff, stand up, good brother. I used to go to Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship over there with Tony Evans. And I used to work down there in South Dallas, right over there near Lincoln High School. So I'm familiar with the area, man. Let me see, T.O. Barboza. It could have been a main event easily. T.O. was promoted. Yeah, he was promoting the most too. And so some of those. But again, I think that when you set up something and what they're doing is they're messing up the infrastructure of the sport by playing this like little popular game that they're playing where it's just like a Jake Paul type of event now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not the same quality of what you would get. When I'm coming up and Roy Jones is the main event, you getting a Roy Jones, Pernell Whitaker, like those dudes cold. You ain't never gonna have dang on Jorge Paez over dang on Roy Jones just because he this clown and he entertaining. No, the call for the sport is the dudes who gets the busiest. That's who should be the headline, or the dudes who the champions and things like that. They messing up the sport, brother. But my bad, Ty. You said you wanted to chime in on a few other things. I'm gonna quit talking, man, because I'm amped up today. Because I didn't like how they did my boy, man.
Yeah, and then I like, to be honest, like out of all the cards, I was most excited for Effie and Effie and Bakole. Now I didn't get a chance to fully see it because I was headed home, so I was watching the stream on my phone. But and you mentioned you had a good point. You said you didn't know if it would been as great because Bakole coming off that Parker loss, and it wasn't that long ago, so I didn't expect Bakole to come in a lot lighter. I mean, he was still heavy, but it went the distance. A lot of people had different opinions on it. So I mean, that was the one I was really looking forward to the most. But like I said, I still missed it. I didn't get a chance to really watch it. But like, what were you guys' thoughts on that fight? Was it entertaining? Or did you agree with the decision? A draw?
It was a good fight. It's sloppy though. Let me hit my boy right here. Oak Clip 214 Dallas, Texas. He says, I'm trying to see T.O. and Haney. You talking about Devin running? T.O. been running from Devin from the longest, but that'd be a goodie right there. Ian says Haney doesn't do good against guys who move around like Haney, or he's saying T.O. And then he says T.O. more talented than Haney, I think. That's we'll have to see. Good fight though. I wish all these dudes would mix it up. You know what I'm saying? Like now Tank, he's playing a little small game, but when they were all around each other, because we kept talking about the four kings and this and that, and it kind of got stale because nobody was willing to mix it up with the other. I ain't ever see Haney do a backflip. Yeah, man, because he over there putting the. Too busy winning them Browns. But anyway, Bill, you got or any one of you fellas want to answer Ty's question as far as what did you think about the Bakole and Ajaba fight? Overall thoughts?
I thought, to me, at the end of the fight, I thought Ajaba edged it maybe. As soon as they said, it was funny because as soon as they said, "Oh, this might be a draw," that's what I was like, this is probably going to be a draw. But the thing is, I'm not upset about it because Ajaba, he was just giving it away. I think maybe he was fading away a little bit, especially in the mid rounds. He started laying up against the ropes and letting Bakole, land punches on his arms. But that was a fight Ajaba could have easily won it or pleaded his case more to win, but he gave it away.
Gotcha.
Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
And I just say, man, like it seems like most hardcore fans were disappointed with this weekend's fight. So, like I was saying, I just hope. I know you talking about Inoue might not have the best opponent, but he is fighting in the States. A lot of people were calling for that for the longest time. It still seemed like it's starting late. I mean, I wish it could have been on a Saturday, of course, but hopefully he can close the weekend out, man, with a bang. A good fight, an entertaining fight for both parties, though.
Yeah. Any one of you fellas want to chime in on what Ty was talking about, or y'all good?
Oh, you talking about the Effie Ajagba fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just hate the fact that Ajagba took until the 4th, 5th round to start boxing. He should have boxed the dude. If he'd have boxed him from early on, he would have won the fight clear, easy. But he tried to stand there and fight with the guy, which is a mistake, trying to stand in front of Bakole for anybody. He's too big. And he was getting his brains beat in, and he decided to have an epiphany and start boxing. And that's how he pulled it to a draw, because he was getting pounded on. But I like Effie Ajagba, just boxing Ajagba. I think he can do some, maybe make some noise in the division if he takes on this boxing stance. But stand in front of people just trying to knock everybody out, no, man, that ain't gonna work.
Yeah, what's gonna call it a robbery? Ian says it's pure robbery. Bakole did not win 5 rounds. He didn't see it that way. And then Clip 214 says, if they were in the weight class, who you think would have won, Prime, GG, or David Benavidez? That's a good question. What do y'all think about that?
Triple G.
Who?
Triple G.
Triple G and David Benavidez?
Yeah. In the same way, if they were in the same weight class, the same size, not like
Benavidez beats the brakes, rotors, and shoes off of Triple G. He too slow.
Triple G got them heavy hands though.
Yeah, Triple
G slower than molasses in the wintertime though.
Triple G had the best defense though. If you look at like Connect, and he also
Triple
had a jab.
G is slower than molasses in the winter time.
But he had great
timing. He had good timing with the jab. He knew he knows how to time guys. He didn't have to be blazing fast. He would just catch guys coming in, and he knew how to work the distance. And he was hard to hit. A lot of people had a hard time like hitting the guy.
Talk to him, Sheldon. What you think? Tell us why Triple G was gonna go ahead and get smoked. Talk to him.
Because he's too damn slow. Benavidez is the type of dude that once he gets rolling, if you don't put something on him that's gonna hurt him and back him up, and he gets rolling, your ass is in trouble. If you don't believe me, ask David Morrell. Where's Caleb Plant? Where's anybody else he fought?
Well,
Once he gets rolling, your ass is in trouble.
Well, we're going to ask him when he fights Bitter B.
So no, go ahead and close us out on this topic right here. Why does Triple G beat David Benavidez?
Well, I mean, if it's prime for prime, like Triple G, like I mean, we really couldn't see how good Triple G was because nobody wanted to fight him when he was at his peak. Like I think that was like when he beat the Canadian French guy, what's his name? The dude
David
Lemieux. That's when he was at his peak.
Lemieux.
And then Canelo stalled him out for a couple of years, hiding at 155, saying my body's not ready for 160, but he wants to have a 160 title. The WBC tried to make that fight. He dumps the belt because he, nobody tells him what to do because he's a diva. And even aging him out, Triple G clearly beat him, and they gave him a robbery decision. So I don't know, man. I think Triple G is like he's not the fastest guy, but he knew how to do distance. He timed guys. He knew how to. His jab was like one of the best jabs in boxing. So I mean, I don't know. I like Benavidez, man, but I mean, we don't know what Benavidez has because Canelo avoided him. I mean, we don't we can't gauge him because he really hasn't had the big fights versus the A-listers. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say this because some of the things that you mentioned, I totally disagree
for a reason. I was gonna say, but I just said to hook up for a reason. He avoided him for a reason.
But so here's the thing as far as Triple G's career. For one, Triple G was way overrated, and here's why: because they kept hyping him up. Abel Sanchez was saying Triple G was the most feared, that he'll whoop anybody from 160 to 175. When he said that, when you're talking about the Lemieux and all of them, Andre Ward specifically said, "Oh, okay. If you saying that, then I'll come to 164 and we can get this." You mind if I finish, sir? I'll let you speak.
Oh, okay.
Andre Ward specifically said, "I'll come to 164 and we can meet so we can get busy." No, he didn't want that. If we pulled up Triple G's career, this is when when I saw him fight for the first time around 2012, I was impressed. Then he was going to fight Dimitri P-Rock, and I was like, dang, that's going to be a really good fight. But when he kept fighting the type of fighters that he was facing, and they were saying that he was avoided, then there was dudes who were calling him out. It was guys who said, you know what, like Lara. Lara was like, no, man, I want Triple G. I thought Triple G would smoke Lara. I was like, Lara, he doesn't stay stationary enough. He doesn't hit hard enough. Why is this dude not fighting Lara? And then you sit up here, instead of fighting Lara, you fight Willie the Worm Monroe. And you fighting the Dimitri dude from Maryland. Well, I forgot the dude's name. You fighting them?
Curtis Stevens, bro.
Andre Ward.
Curtis Stevens, bro.
Andre Ward was clout chasing. He didn't want that fight.
No, he wanted to smoke. Yeah, Andre Ward has never been a person to sit up here and be capping or anything like that. He's like Devin Haney, but you steady saying negative things about Devin Haney.
But Andre
Ward is one of the most honorable boxing guys in the sport of boxing. Yeah, he was. There's no debating.
He plays that. He's not the
for him to go ahead and go up and face Kovalev when they kept. He didn't have to do that. He went up there,
and Kovalev got robbed.
Maybe he might have, but he went up there and he fought Kovalev. Triple G, who did he fight? Outside of waiting on Canelo.
He didn't get robbed in the second fight. He didn't get robbed in the second fight.
Well, yeah, I mean, when he hit.
But listen, he had the nuts to go ahead and fight somebody like Kovalev. What did Triple G do outside of wait for Canelo? That's all he kept doing.
Can I explain how that all went down with Ward?
We don't want to hear the lies, sir. We're trying to hear.
No. I'll tell you the truth. This is
Let him go. Let him go.
Andre Ward sent him an offer after he already knew that he signed to fight David Lemieux, and even some time later, he admitted he couldn't go back down and weight because he wouldn't be able to make the weight. He tried to say he'll fight him at 168 or something like that, but he himself admitted he wouldn't be able to make the weight. So it was all just for clout. And I think Ward has always been like a green-eyed monster, man. And because Ward, his own, this is the fact, his own tickets in Oakland were on Groupon. And he just mad because he never got the notoriety.
What did Triple G and Lemieux sell, sir? What was those great numbers that they did.
Massive pay-per-view
Yeah,
numbers. I'd
but
like to know.
Triple G set the record for sales at the LA arena. What are you talking about?
I'm saying, what is this
With
per
who?
pay-per-view?
Against who?
No,
Against
but
who?
I'm talking about ticket sales. Like in New York, I went to
Against
that
who?
fight.
Who?
And
Who did
even
he
in
fight?
California. No, but I'm saying, to my
Who did he
point,
fight?
Andre Ward was always jealous because his tickets were on Groupon in his hometown. And Triple G is not American, doesn't speak English, comes over here and outsells him, outdoes him, is a bigger star than
And
Andre
I'll
Ward.
give you
So
that,
Andre
but you
Ward
got to
always
admit,
hated that.
you have to admit though, sir. Hold on.
Only time Triple G sold is against Canelo. That's it. He don't sell against nobody else. They try to
No, I'm talking about like
hold on.
venues. I'm talking about venues.
You have to admit, sir, Triple G never fought nobody. Now you have to admit that. He never fought nobody.
Well, they didn't want to fight him. Nobody. They didn't want to fight him.
It doesn't matter if they wanted to, but you fought the guys you fought were trash. You can't even name 10 of the guys.
Cotto paid $1 million not to fight him. Canelo hid at 155 for years, aging him out.
That don't mean nothing. You fought Willie Monroe and Curtis Stevens, bro. I don't want to hear it.
I mean, he beat Danny Jacobs. That was a good win.
I'll give him that. I will give him that.
I was at that.
I will give him that.
That's when Danny was still Danny.
Yeah, I'll give him the Danny Jacobs fight. I give him that. I give him that. That's the only fight I'll give him, though.
You can only fight who's willing to fight.
Look at this right here, sir. Look at this right here. Lara calls out Triple G. Golovkin won't fight him. Let's knock out the nonsense.
But I'll say this: so, are you one of those people that believe that Triple G is one of the greatest middleweights of all time? Are you one of those?
No, honestly, we don't know. Because one thing is, he came to America too late.
No, you don't know.
He came to America too
I know.
late. That's another thing.
I know.
That's why these Eastern Europeans, they got to come over earlier.
Why y'all go back and forth, man? I think I got to get out of here.
All right, peace, man.
All right.
It's always good having this conversation.
Man.
Will, you keep me up, man. I feel better now. I won't be getting any sleep now.
I see that we helped you out. We helped you out. We helped you out.
Hey, nah, you know what it is? That's what D-Town Dallas from Oak Cliff. He started all of this. I forgot the Dallas dudes, man. They'll get you beefing. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate you, Val, man. You have a great week. All right, we're gonna finish this up though.
You have a great week, Val. Talk to you later, bro.
Yes, indeed. He said,
yeah, yes, man. But here's the thing, man. Triple G can't carry Marvin Hagler's jockstrap, and that's fact.
Triple G.
Yeah, I might agree. I might agree because there was a better era, you know.
All right, it says you can say Cherry Chirac when Triple G never been hurt and Canelo didn't stop him. Okay. Then the Savage Chirac Savage says, don't bring this guy back to the panel. He is a race fan, not a boxing fan. Just listen to him. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't. Is that me? Because I'm saying I can't stand Canelo and I'm Mexican, so.
Nah, you know how it is.
I mean, I didn't watch the Canelo fight. Because I'm boycotting Canelo because I don't like what he's doing. I watched a little bit of it. I was at a concert, but and I don't think Jaime McGee has ever been good. I think Jaime McGee is trash. And so I don't know. This is the
internet, bro. You can't take what people say. You can't take it personal. This is the internet. Anytime you disagree with somebody, you're racist or hater.
Just reading the comments. Shout out to Chirac. Chirac, make sure you hit the sub button, though, good brother.
Hey, my favorite all-time fighter is Tyson.
I was just out there.
Hit the link too, Chirac.
Yeah, Chirac. I was out there. Yeah, I was out there in Chicago, man. But if you want to. We'll keep Shogun on if you want to go ahead and get busy with Shogun. I'll put the link in the chat. Y'all go back.
Use the link, man.
Hey, listen. I'm trying to get some type of entertainment. These fights were so whack. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get something.
Man, I'm with you, Wilton. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Especially that Tio Barboza. But you know what? Turkey is actually, Turkey is actually good for the sport because all these fights we talking shit about, we wouldn't even saw these fights previously.
Yeah, true.
We would have never saw them.
But I feel bad for Turkey. Never saw. He put up all this money, and he flew back to Saudi the night before. And man, like
let me explain something to y'all. We're gonna remember this. Let me explain something to y'all. As long as people in the world need oil, Turkey ain't worried about no money.
No, he ain't worried about that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't worry about that. Andre Ward, he says, Andre Ward has 16 stops and 32, and you got him stopping Triple G just like he did Kovalev, sir. Chirac says Triple G fought a bunch of cab drivers. Sir, cab drivers will probably be a little too tough. Maybe Uber, sir. You know what I'm saying? Not taxi drivers might get busy, not them Uber drivers that he was facing, and Lyft. He says, TKO Kell Brook, who was undefeated, who came up 2 weight classes. That's not a good example, sir. Ian says, beat Canelo. That's not true. Look on the resume. Let's see. Oak Cliff was laughing at what I said about him getting us riled up. Chirac Canelo, trash. Ward can come out of retirement, fight, and beat Canelo. He might be able to.
No, sir, no. Ward ain't coming out of retirement for that.
Canelo got a gift last night. Oak Cliff says the Inoue fight better make this good, or a weekend boxing sucks. Yeah, that's true. That's what we're looking to happen. And then Chirac Savage says, LOL. We got Ian says Triple G never been stopped. Yeah, he fighting them Lyft drivers, sir. Why are we hating on Triple G? What the F? Yeah,
because he's a bum.
Yeah,
because he's a bum.
No, they hating Devin Haney, so we got to go ahead and give somebody else some of that flack too, brother. Delta says,
what did they say? Hold on, what did they say? 20? Did they say 20 or 21 title defenses? Is that what they said for Triple G?
Oh, he wasn't fighting anybody. It's Willie the Worm, man. So
and
Delta
and that was Reggie belt, and that was the Reggie belt. That wasn't the belt. That was the Reggie belt. Because other dudes had the belt, but.
Boxing is there after this weekend. Ain't no way boxing beating UFC card fights with the performance from everybody. They're going to have to step their game up for sure. Then Delta says, I don't even want to see Ryan and Haney too. It'll sell, though. It'll sell. People forget about this matchup if they end up fighting again. I ain't hating Haney, bro. And then everybody hit the like button. Appreciate that, Chirac Savage. Hit the like and sub button if you haven't done so. All right, fellas, we just got a few more topics, man. Y'all fellas long-winded. Y'all a little feisty today. Y'all a little pugnacious. So we gotta, I ain't gonna tell you to talk down. I ain't gonna tell you.
Hey, it's like we're sexually frustrated, bro. Because like it's like we got teased by a girl this weekend because we had all these fights that were like, this is gonna be crazy, and it was a dud, bro. It's like you take a girl out and you're anticipating, getting that, smashing, and she falls asleep on you.
Right. I get it. Y'all a little feisty today, man. But like I say, I'm gonna see some type of action. So any of y'all get into it with each other, I'm gonna encourage it. You understand what I'm saying? So now, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button. Just a few topics, man. First and foremost, like we said, we got this today, and we talked about that. What do you think is gonna happen in that fight, though, Shogun?
Well, tonight?
Yeah. How long you think it's gonna last?
Bro, it's going to be a blowout. I know the kid Cardinas. He's from down here. He's from San Antonio. I went to his last fight, and he started off good, hurt his opponent was it Pro Box? But then at the end of the fight, he got cracked, and he barely got through that fight. And I don't know if he won that fight, but they gave it to him. So I think Inoue this is just a showcase fight for Inoue, just so Americans can see him here, but it's weird, man, because I don't know why they put it on a Sunday when it's drowned out by the other fights, because it's not making a lot of buzz. It's not selling the tickets they thought it was going to sell. So I think Inoue's just going to get him out of there, man. And they have some young guns on the undercard that I want to see too, that they're always fun. Emiliano Vargas and what's that tall guy, that freakishly tall guy that's in Inoue's. He might be an opponent for Inoue. They're trying to line him up, Espinoza. So
let me ask you this though: where's the fight at?
It's isn't it where the Raiders play?
Oh, so it's in California.
No, it's in Vegas. It's in Vegas.
Oh, in Vegas, my bad. Oh yeah, so it's on the West Coast. Now, well, here's the thing. They may have just got a deal. Whoever's putting this on, sometimes I know like that's the reason why. Remember when Bob was having fights like on Thursday, and people was like, man, why are they fighting on Thursday? That don't make any sense. And so sometimes they get like a better deal or something like that. They can kill two birds with one stone, kind of showcase Inoue, and then also get a venue, at a discounted rate because it's nothing going on. Maybe, possibly, I don't know, but we'll see.
And it's on so late. It says it's going to be on at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Central Time. And I'm like, man, it's Sunday, bro. People got to work. You know what I mean? Like,
where they fighting at? They fighting at the Cosmo?
No, I think they're fighting Reliant.
No, they're not fighting at Allegiant Stadium. They're not putting that fight in those 65,000 seat stadiums. That's not happening.
I don't know. I saw a picture. I think that's the stadium. But
Let's see.
they're not selling tickets. They're not selling tickets the way they thought it was going to sell. And I think they should have had it in California. There's a lot of Asians out there, and you're bringing bring the fight to a real city. Because in Vegas, everybody's flying out, coming back from the weekend on Sunday.
Yeah. The bottom line is going to be this: is that for our pleasure, those who are watching the fight, I think that it's going to be entertaining, and it's going to be entertaining because the kid that you mentioned, like the fight highlights that I see of him, he's going to bring it. And what I do know of guys who fight like out of San Antonio, most of those dudes always bring whatever it is that they have to the table. They're not trying to run and round or anything like that or stink up the joint. They actually coming to win. And he may just get outgunned because he just doesn't have the same ammunition as the Inoue. But I think it's going to be entertaining. And that's what I'm looking for in this one, leading into the Inoue and MJ fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a highlight. Real knockout.
Yeah. All right. You got Diego Pacheco. He's going to be taking on Trevor McCumbee. So it's just I got about 3 news topics, man. And then we can go ahead and wrap this one up. But Pacheco, man, what do you guys think about him and McCumbee? Is that a good fight for the kid?
It's a step backwards.
You think so?
Well, because he didn't look that good his last fight, and I don't know. It's like a McCumbee. Like they were talking about him already getting like a title shot or something, but he didn't look good. And now they're having McCumbee, which McCumbee's a tough dude, but he's not. You know, I mean, what are we really going to get out of it? But I might go to that one because that's Bam. That's going to be here in Texas, and I know Bam, man. Bam's from my neighborhood, and I'm looking forward to that, man. I got to get out there. That's good. I mean, and Pacheco's fun to watch. It'll be fun while it lasts because McCumbee does he battles. He's a B-level fighter, but he comes to fight.
What you think, Sho?
If Pacheco goes in there sleeping on McCumbee, he gonna get beat. He better take this fight serious. He better train for this guy. He better not read the press clippings and don't do that because this guy, like my man said, this guy's tough and this guy's strong as shit. And he's coming to fight.
I think what Pacheco should do is try to accomplish, and it doesn't mean anything, but it can mean something from a marketing standpoint. If he's able to do away with McCumbee quicker, faster, and more efficiently than Caleb Plant, and then I can build some confidence with the kid, and it possibly can set up a matchup between some of those other guys. It don't look like Canelo's going to face nobody like a Pacheco. So then he has all of the belts. But I think if
why would he?
Well, he faced like
makes no sense for him.
Well, what I'm saying is, let's say for instance, I don't know what he's ranked and things like that. Like Canelo will fight his number 1 mandatory fighters if it's somebody that's an easy cherry pick.
Depending on who it is, Wilton. Depending on who it is. He had one dude for 3 years that was number 1, and he wouldn't fight him. So let's not say that.
That's true.
No, that's my point that I'm trying to make. So it depends on the opponent. So that's the reason why I said that Canelo wouldn't fight a Pacheco even if he positioned himself to be the mandatory. I don't see him facing somebody like that. I would see him face somebody like a Berlanga.
I think Bud's going to beat him, but if he gets by Bud, he's going to face Eubank in the UK. He's always talked about fighting in the UK. And coming off that big event that they did, that was a huge success. I think if Eubank doesn't take any losses from here to there, he might get that Canelo fight if Canelo beats Crawford.
That would be
my partner. Wilton is my partner. He don't like it when I say this, but Canelo's not getting past Bud. Bud, go stop that dude.
No, that's that. We'll talk about that on another day. What do you think about? I really wanted to have this discussion because I wanted to see what Lavelle was going to say because I kind of know what he would say as far as Fundora sidestepping Xander Zayas for a more lucrative matchup against him too. What is that? Does that make sense to you, fellas?
Money sense.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. This is a fight people want to see. Nobody wants to see Fundora and Xander Zayas. Most people don't even know who Xander Zayas is.
Tyrann, they know. I agree. I agree with all that, but I think that like I say, my boy Vail, he don't like when dudes sidestep other guys. Like that gets on his nerve. But last but not least, man, this is what I want to discuss. Ty, man, you got to get in here, man, because you down at the bottom. I keep missing you when I'm having these different conversations. But I'm gonna call on you first for this one right here, Ty. Hitchins. See, this is when I talked about this before, and Shelton, he sat up there and he keeps saying, why wouldn't he face him? Why wouldn't he? But this is the hypocrisy, man. This dude right here, Richardson Hitchins, is criticizing Keyshawn Davis matchmaking. The fact that he's going to face my guy out of the Dominican Republic. And he said that his opponents are questionable. His selection is questionable for the WBO title defense. I'm gonna start with you, Todd. What do you think about this? Is this hypocritical of the kid to even question Keyshawn's fight that he has coming up?
Yeah, I think it's hypocritical. Keyshawn, I mean, De Los Santos may not. I mean, he's a good opponent. He may not be the best opponent, but let's give Keyshawn his props. He just became a champion. He just became a champion. You know what I'm saying? And I know that Kambosos had, the nice win over Theo, but Kambosos was stopped in his hometown. I'm not stopped, but beating his hometown twice by Devin Haney. So yeah, and I like Montana Love. I know the fight didn't happen with him and Hitchins. They were supposed to happen, but for whatever reason it didn't happen. I think that Richardson Hitchins would have beat Montana Love easily. But yeah, I definitely think he's definitely hypocritical for that.
The man hypocritical, and remember, Lamos gave him all type of trouble, and then Keyshawn go in there and smash the dude. And like Anthony Jones is saying, how are you going to be critical of his opponent selection when you the one said? Now we already think this. Like Kambosos is an accomplished guy who isn't that talented. You called him an accomplished bum, Hitchins. But you saying this about your opponent, but then you criticizing Keyshawn for facing somebody that one of the champions doesn't want to face again. Somebody whose people think could be kind of tricky and dangerous. Some think that. He's a far more credible opponent to me at this particular point than who you facing, because he looks like he never was that great, but he doesn't even seem like he's as good as he was when he was at his best. What say you, Sheldon? Then we'll get you.
Yeah, maybe it's just trying to get
I say that Richardson Hitchins is doing exactly what Richardson Hitchins wants you to do, is talk about it. Nobody gives a damn about what Richardson Hitchins says. Nobody cares. He got to do something first. He ain't done nothing. You got to build. Okay. Yes. Who'd you beat?
If that's the attitude, then this whole 2 hours, we can say that about everything. I'm saying what comes out of this man's mouth is hypocritical because he said it. And so I'm addressing that. That's all.
And we said that he's not relevant. And we're telling you that he's not relevant enough for anybody to care.
Shogun, what do you think, sir?
He's not relevant. Nobody cares about Richardson Hitchins.
I like that fight. I like that fight, man. I think it's a good measuring stick because we saw he's a power puncher, and we saw Shakur really hesitant versus this guy. So if he goes in there and takes him out, and they're taking him back to his hometown, right?
Got tickets, man. You in the area got tickets to that fight.
Oh man, that's gonna be crazy. Because dude, tell me you didn't get chills when he came out in his hometown with the band.
I was there,
bro. Like that's that's the shit I love to see, bro. So they're doing a good job with this guy, and that's one kid.
Man, he's gonna beat hard
for. I'm rooting hard for him.
He's gonna beat the brakes, rotors, and shoes off of De Los Santos. De Los Santos is a loser, bro. He's been out there a year and a half. He gonna beat that man half to death.
Yeah, I want him and guys like Vargas to break this cycle of bratty fighters, like I mentioned before, with like Tio, Ryan, Devin.
Let's leave Devin out of that though. So.
No, but like I want them to just come to just be like just break that.
No, put Devin in there. Put Devin in there. Don't leave him out. Put him in there.
And I'm gonna call it right now, bro. I'm gonna call it right now. Him and Shakur are gonna have a falling out, and they're gonna fight one day.
You know what's gonna happen? I think what Shakur is gonna play it kind of cool with Keyshawn, because Keyshawn, I don't see him staying at 135 that much longer, just based on his size. And then therefore that's going to give Shakur an out where he doesn't necessarily have to face him. But here's Chirac says, after the performance last night against Scull, Bud is going to wash Canelo easily like Mayweather and Bivol did. Okay. Then Chirac says Africa is a walking contradiction. That's all I'm saying, Chirac, is the fact that we just basing you on the words that you say. And if you say something, then it's out there in the public, then we can actually critique what it is that you say. We can either support it or we could criticize it. Or we may not say anything at all. But I just thought that it was ironic, the fact that you telling him and questioning his opposition that he's facing, when out of your own mouth, you are saying that the fighter that you're about to fight is a bum, basically. So I just don't get that piece of it. I would never in a million years compare him to no dang on Devin Haney. No, Devin Haney's way too accomplished, and Devin Haney's done way much more than this young fella right here. When you talk about a whiny little dude, yeah, those type of guys who sit up here and be having all this mouth, and you ain't done anything. But it's not even that. The worst thing that I have is when you a hypocrite. Like when you sit up here and you get you a belt, you don't want to face Matias. You've been avoiding him. And then you have the audacity to unmitigated go. This guy right here that's on that screen right there, he wants all the smoke. He's not like you. So don't even talk about him, because that's somebody who's good for the sport. I'm not so certain that you are. If you sitting up here.
Yeah, and you're going to get this more and more, though, but it's a good sign of where Keyshawn is going, because when you start making waves, people are going to start lashing out at you because they're going to want some of that attention. They're going to want some of that clout. So that's just an indicator of that Keyshawn's going in the right direction, because you have fighters making bogus statements, criticizing a good fight, because he knows he's going to go in there, probably win, and put it in front of his hometown, getting promoted as well. So it's going to happen more and more. This is a good sign for Keyshawn. They're talking about you, bro.
And Hitchins is gonna fight George Kambosos, and nobody's even gonna watch.
That's a good fight. Damn, well, hardcore.
Because nobody cares.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody
casual,
cares.
I like the fight. It's a good measuring stick, you know. But
I mean, for us, we'll watch anybody fight. We'll watch the amateurs. We'll watch the Olympics. There ain't nobody taking off their Saturday rushing home to see Richardson Hitchins. Ain't nobody doing that.
No, they might.
Come on, man. We gotta keep it a buck. Ain't nobody doing that, man.
It all depends where the fight is held. Like Kambosos may be able to get some of that.
It's in the little room. Wilton. That fight is in the little Hulu room. There's only 4,500 seats in there.
Yeah,
they put it in there for a reason.
They're gonna have to load up the undercard.
What I'm saying.
Come on, man.
Your frustration when it comes to that, I understand what you're saying. But as far as what I'm saying is, I don't know like how much of support he's going to get from that Australian fan base, because that's the reason why they kept having Devin go out there to fight him, because he does have some type of support out there.
Aren't they fighting in New York? Or are they fighting in Australia?
But regardless, they can fight in Timbuktu. But do the people in Australia have an opportunity to purchase the fight? Do they have an opportunity?
Well, there's only 4,500 seats in the arena, so I don't know how many of them gonna get over here.
Now, Kambosos' last fight was in his home country, and he didn't. Hardly anybody showed up. They kind of fell off his bandwagon.
What I'm saying is, but was he fighting Hitchins? Was he fighting one of those weak little dudes? Like Hitchins, like to them, may seem to be a formidable opponent, or more formidable opponent to see George, recapture glory. I don't know. But I'm just saying that the dude is a hypocrite, is what I'm saying. Keyshawn will step on. I agree. And the thing is, the bottom line is he's hating. He's hating because Keyshawn went in there and smoked the dude that you went life and death with when you got a questionable victory against Lemos. So now you're trying to figure out a way to hate, but it's not registering well because it's not solid. You're not standing on a solid foundation because you're being a hypocrite, is what I'm saying. And then Talk Trend says we have more fight on Twitter than in the ring. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, man. That's what it's starting to get to. Is that, man? Any last thoughts, man, as we close this one down? So I got this hip hop question, but Vail done left, so I don't know if you fellas into hip hop like that to be answering this type of question, because I was watching Drink Champs yesterday.
I answer them every week.
My boy B.
I answer them every week. So.
My boy B. Jizzle. Cash money is an army, did a year to need it. But anyway, you guys have any other final thoughts about this week's episode, man? Anything in particular you want to talk about?
Nah, man. I just
Great
wanna,
show, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, great
Go
show,
ahead.
man. Great show for sure. Yeah, I know you mentioned to me about the Boots fight. Yeah, I had a great time, man. I think Eddie Hearn is doing a good job with Boots, better than PBC, because Eddie Hearn had the hometown fights. He had the fights in Atlantic City, close to home. So I think Eddie Hearn is doing a more credible job than PBC. But I had a good time. Like when he fought, what was the guy's name that he stopped? The slow guy, the guy that stopped that dropped Rashidi Ellis. I forget his name.
Oh, you talking about the Hispanic guy?
Roman Villa. So when he
Roman
fought,
Villa.
yeah. So when he stopped Villa, that was in the ballroom. That was in the ballroom of the venue, which was a little smaller. But of course, the Stanionis fight was in the bigger part of the venue. So I think Eddie Hearn is trying to do a way better job of promoting Boots than PBC. But other than that, man, I had a great time.
Yeah. What Boots look like in person?
Good, man. Good. I mean, we seen what he did to Stanionis. So that was a way better performance. A lot of people had question marks as far as the fight with Karen, but yeah, he made a statement. I think he made a statement. So yeah, he looked great. He looked great, man.
Yeah, so for instance, like I remember I went to go catch Roy Jones. This was June, I want to say like 5th or is it 99 or 2000, but I went down there to Biloxi. I drove down with these two females. I almost didn't even make it because they ain't gonna tell that story. This
That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it was a good story, man. It was, but anyway, I can't. It's still too early to get off into that one like this. Maybe an OnlyFans or something like that, But so I get to the fight. What's called was fighting on that card too. It was because his opponent Charles something, but you remember the guy Jirog. You remember Jirog used to be the cruiserweight champion about early 2000, and James Toney ended up fighting him. He moved up to cruiserweight and beat him. But anyway, the silly Jirog beat, I got Charles something. The crazy thing is when I left the venue, because the ladies were going around to get the car, because I was in there doing something, and they was like, well, we'll go get the car, and we'll bring it around, because I was trying to purchase something. And so as I'm waiting on them to come around, I see his opponent was getting on the bus. I'm like, but he was still groggy though from the fight. I'm like, dang, somebody need to tend to this dude. But anyway, I'm saying that to say this though, Ty. When I saw Roy in that fight, he fought Reggie Johnson for another belt at 175 pounds. But I saw there, I don't know if I would have necessarily caught that if I wasn't in the building, but I saw Roy's speed. He hit Reggie Johnson this one time with this. He hit him with two lefts. Boom, boom. He was moving so fast that he got out of the way. So he hit him. He moved out of the way, anticipating maybe a follow-up from Reggie Johnson. And then he ended up, like he did it so fast, but then the punches didn't come, and he was back in there. He was going to swing, but he didn't swing, and he stepped back out, and then he was ready to hit him again. But by that time, Reggie is falling. You know what I'm saying? But it was just so quick how he did it. I never thought that I ever see somebody that fast. You know what I'm saying? So just in person, it looked different. You know what I mean? That's why I asked you, did you see something that night from Boots? With all of that talent, the speed, and whatnot, that caught your eye is what I was saying. But no, I appreciate you sharing that, man. Because like I said, if you decide to go to the fight that they're having down there in Norfolk, June, let me know because I got tickets, several tickets. Yeah,
okay,
I'm about to put them on SeatGeek to try to get some bread. But you want to chime in on this discussion right here, real quick, man? It's just you don't have to talk long, but I just want to know this right here, man. Were you a fan of the Hot Boys back in the day?
Yeah.
Who you?
Huh?
Cash Money, all of them. Yeah, I was a fan of them. Yeah.
Oh, he was a fan of Cash Money. I got two questions about that, man. Which one do you think was the better CD right here from Cash Money? 400 Degrees or the Carter One? While you think about that, Chirac says Boots was never signed directly to PBC. That's right. That's a whole fact. And then also Chirac says Roy Jones had the fastest. Yeah, man. That was a thing of beauty.
That's a tough one, man. I mean, they came out not around the same time, too. You know, I love back the thing up, but Carter, I have to say, in my time, I rock with the Carter one. So me, I'm gonna go with the Carter one. But don't get me wrong, Juvenile was that dude that time too. But I have to run with the Carter one.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Chirac on this one right here. Carter was cold. Don't get me wrong, because he had Go DJ and all of that on there. Yeah. He had Birdman Jr. on there too. That's one of my favorite songs. He got a verse on there when he say, "I play the corner like Rip." That's a cold verse that he got on there. But 400 Degrees, that's a classic right there from top to bottom. It may be like 2 or 3 songs on it, but it's a lot of songs. But I'm gonna tell you like this: what people are sleeping on is Soldier Rags that came out the year before that might be as good as that. Like, to me, that's the question, but people don't know because he got popular because of the song called High. Remember that?
I was gonna say that, man. I was gonna ask you what's High on that album. Was High on what? Yeah, High was on 400 Degrees. Yeah, a lot of people like that. Like 50 made a song and copied that too. You were saying High at the end of every verse. Yeah. So yeah, both of them good albums, man. Good albums.
Both of them real good, man. And then this my last question, fellas, and then we can go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Who you got, man? You got No Limit. You got the Tank, or do you got the $sign Cash Money? Who you going with?
Man, No Limit had more. No Limit had more people, man. So, but that's a good one, man. Master P has so many albums, though, man. You can't, yeah, man. I would say I like Cash Money, but as far as the consistency, I have to go with No Limit. But I'll go with No Limit. Master P was very successful outside of music too.
So, the movies and all that type of stuff. He did a little bit of everything. He had like the entertainment thing and stuff like that. But yeah, now you can't lose with this one. To me, when I was coming up, I probably listened to like No Limit was kind of harder to me because P was coming out with like that Ghetto D and all of that type of stuff. The Ice Cream Man and all that. But then if you think about overall sustainability, you got to go Cash Money because they still making stuff now with Drake. Well, I don't know if Drake's still with them now. He's got OVO, but that he comes from that cloth. You know what I'm saying? You got Nicki and all of them afterwards. So you got to give them like the longevity as far as Cash Money.
But my favorite album by Master P is definitely The Last Don. That's just me. I love The Last Don.
Chirac goes with, he said No Limit. He messed with P now. All right, fellas, man, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And then we always end with Bo-Mac, man. He need to go ahead and get himself in some shape, you know. And you know, we just want to have some encouraging words for the brother, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Bo-Mac. But any final words, man, as we close this one out?
Great show, man.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks
you.
For the invite, man. Yeah, appreciate the invite, man. Great show, man. This one was popping from the beginning to the end, man. Long too, man. So like salute the last one to the bar and everybody to sub and hit that like button.
Appreciate it. And shout out to Shogun for getting, you know, the everybody riled up too. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, guys, good debates, bro. Good debates.
Yes, indeed. Any other thing from you, Sheldon, before I go ahead and close this back?
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you let me rock with y'all, man.
No, you can close it down, Wilton, man. We had a great discussion. You know, we found out that you don't like Richardson Hitchins, which I already knew. I think he's irrelevant, so I don't know why you think about him anyway. But you know, it is what it is. We had a great show, man. We always have a great show.
Yes, indeed. My bad, Shogun. What were you saying?
Oh no. I said I appreciate letting me rock, man. You know, it was a frustrating weekend. I had to just kind of get some frustration out. I think we're all a little frustrated, but it ain't over. We got one more. I think it's the showcase. So, man, that goes to show, man. You never know, man. Sometimes we get these big events lined up, and then they're duds, man. That's the hard part of the sport.
Yeah, this just real quick, man, because you said something that it sparked a question of mine. Do you like the mega events like that, or do you think that they should be spread out a little bit more? Maybe like 1 or 2 big fights on the card, as opposed to, you know, how Turkey likes to have the long events.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of short. I mean, because they started early, but I mean, as long as they're quality fights, I think it's good. But you got to understand, with the casuals, they got a short attention span. So you really only need like 2, like a good main event, co-main event, and maybe some up and comers on underneath them. Because if you have them too much, and that's where the UFC messed up, they oversaturated their own pay-per-view market, and it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, I like, because see, to me, those were 3 separate cards. Maybe since the fact that they were going to have, I don't think Teo should have been on there. I think you should have had those 2, since they were supposed to meet up. Then you can have them on there. But it's too many main events to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the other thing that it does is the weeks after, you don't have much boxing because everybody's fighting on the same cards too. But anyway, we can end at that, man. Certainly appreciate you fellas. Certainly appreciate the fellas in the chat. Chirac. We had Talk Trends. We had Anthony Jones. We had Ian was active in the chat. Delta, my main man, Oak Cliff. Anybody else I forgot? Shout out to you as well. I know King Grayson was up in there. And anybody else who came in and chopped it up with us today via the chat, or just coming in to have these lengthy discussion about the sport of boxing, the sport that's near and dear to our heart. Fellas, you have a great rest of your week. Tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. Have a shot at tequila for your boy.
You too, sir. I'll catch you next week after the debacles this weekend coming up.
Listen, man, I had enough tequila yesterday for 2 or 3 mugs. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm good. But all right, fellas, y'all be easy though. All right, peace.
Peace.
Yes, indeed.
Later.